This go around, Cody, it was pretty evident early on in the morning. We didn't even have to waste our time driving up there. It was pretty evident.
We sent some texts, and we were trying to decide if it was worth it. And it's like, we don't want to miss out on these player interviews or being up at training camp. And yeah, no way. You were saying like 7,000 radar shots.
Well, I wanted to show you the future cast, you know? You make fun of the weather apps and stuff, and it comes in handy for this, you know?
The problem with the weather apps is that I looked at 4 different ones this morning, and the percentage and the intensity of the rain was different on all 4. Yeah. So clearly it's just run by some dumbass algorithm that is like less accurate than your local weather person that you might want to complain about. And that's my issue. My issue is that the apps don't always tell me the truth.
I didn't need the percent. I wasn't looking at the hourly percentage as much as the future cast showed. Basically, we were going to get rained on for the entire show. So I was like, this makes no sense.
You're and like, not interested. Huh?
We're going to be just outside under a tent in rain and severe weather. No, I'm good. So we're in studio. We're all set. Chiefs practice indoors today. We are expected to hear from Sky Moore in the 11 o'clock hour, and we might hear from him then, and we'll keep an eye on that. We got our intern, JT. We keep rotating here. We got JT, the intern, now in today, so we'll get to JT's thoughts coming up in 45 minutes or so as well. Are you good? You good over there? You got the hoodie on. You got the hat on.
Honestly, it's like I was like, I was gonna so I just threw a hat on today, and then once I realized I was coming to the station, I know sometimes it's cold in here. And it's like rainy, so I knew even less likely they were going to have the HVAC working at proper capacity. So I wanted a hoodie, and I'm glad I wore it. I'm
got the jeans today, so I'm with you.
I didn't go jeans. I went shorts. Shorts and hoodie weather is the best weather. We all know it anyway.
Well, we're close to that. We got to get to October before we really can get to that.
Today kind of has that vibe, though.
Today's the day where you wish that it was a Saturday morning and you didn't have kids and you just slept. Just keep sleeping. Just sleep in. That was a no-go.
This is why, and it's always like, we'll just put your kids to bed later. So last night, my kid had dance. She joined the competition dance team. So after 2 hours of doing hip-hop, yes, my daughter doing hip-hop dance, she was doing the Soulja Boy. She was doing the whole, it's an amazing video. But so after 2 hours of that, and then because it was their first practice, all the girls, because they're in a big dance together with older kids. They're all going to Yogurt Teeny. And she really wants to go. And I'm like, it's her first day doing it. And I don't really want to depress. So, by the time we get home and she's in bed, it is a full-blown 2 hours after the normal time she goes to bed. She woke up earlier than normal today. It's the worst. You can't. There's no winning. You're just going to keep going to bed at the normal time under normal circumstances because I get no benefit on the back end. If I could guarantee myself putting a kid to bed 2 hours later meant 2 hours later in the morning on a Saturday, Gold, we could get up, I do it every time. But it doesn't buy you any time. I'm just warning you now for future use. If you're thinking you can buy time in the morning on Saturday, no.
We're over halfway through Chiefs training camp. It's been a weird camp just because of some of the rainouts and the way things have worked and the schedule. This year's camp schedule, frankly, was just different anyway because the Chiefs have the Thursday night opener. So everything's just a little bit different. They have their preseason game coming up on this Sunday. So it's a Sunday afternoon preseason game instead of the Thursday or Friday, even Saturday preseason game. So everything's just a little bit different. But since we are over halfway through, before camp started, we went through and evaluated the wide receiver group. And we've talked, don't get me wrong, while we're up at camp, we've talked about Kadarius Toney and obviously Sky Moore. And yesterday we had a conversation about who could be the gadget player that fits the void that McCole Hardman kind of held for a while as that guy for this football team. But how do you feel any different 2.5, 3 weeks into camp now? Because they still have 25, 27 days until the start of the season. And other than maybe the continued noise around Justin Ross, I don't know if I necessarily feel way different about anybody in the room other than, hey, we haven't seen Kadarius Toney because of the knee injury. There's not one player where I'm like, man, he's going to play way more than I ever could have thought, or this guy's been a disappointment. They haven't played in a preseason game yet, so my opinion on the wide receiver group really hasn't changed in the last 2 weeks.
I guess a lot of it is going to depend on how much of the hype for any of the players you want to believe in. Sky Moore's gotten some buzz. Rashee Rice has gotten some buzz. Obviously, Toney's buzz was all in the lead up to camp, but now he might be back for the beginning of the regular season, if you want to believe what Brett Veach was telling media members the other day. So all of a sudden, you're finding yourself in this. Everyone is at least reportedly better than maybe I would have thought going into this. I would say I feel a little bit better about their depth. I am still concerned. My biggest concern still exists, But I think day to day, I feel maybe 5-10% better about their daily survival. My question and the problem I have until we see a preseason game coming up on Sunday, and probably more importantly, until we start seeing some regular season games, is my biggest question about the wide receivers was not overall, will they still help Patrick Mahomes get to the yardage? It is, can any of these players be trusted when it is important and you need to trust them? Tony's never produced at the NFL level, like high enough that would make you say, yeah, for sure. None of the other guys have done that either. So it's just like, we've talked about this. It doesn't really matter the wide receiver. The stats are still the stats for them, which is nobody outside of MVS has ever had a season that it's eclipsed 600 yards even.
Right, but
I want to see what 3rd and 5 in the fourth quarter trailing by 4 looks like, and I can't get those answers in training camp. I do feel like they're deep in the room and they're throwing a lot of numbers at it. So my hope now is that out of this large group of players that they seemingly like, they will be able to find one or two that they really like.
Sure, but that's what you were saying there. That's something that even 3 weeks ago we never were going to get answered during camp or preseason, right? I mean, you're never going to get an answer of like, oh, now I feel so confident this can be the guy when they need a conversion on 3rd and 6, and it's not Kelsey. Who's the guy that's going to step up? I don't think we were going to get that answer during training camp anyway. Like, I don't think we should be surprised that we don't have a different answer for that now. Whatever your answer was before camp is probably very similar. I think that's one of those where you're not going to have an answer until the regular season. Because even in preseason, we've seen guys flash in preseason games. I mean, we joked the other day about Darius Fountain, right? Had a great preseason, didn't even make the roster. Like, I'm assuming on Sunday, Cody, Justin Ross is probably going to look great. But does that mean that suddenly Justin Ross is going to be the number 2 receiver for this team? No. That might be the social media reaction because that's all that we see. Yeah. But, otherwise, I don't think there's much that's going to be answered with the trust level of the wide receiver group during preseason. They're going to have to go do that in the regular season.
Yeah, but it is good, deep. Like, the way I view this is they're still unproven. That hasn't changed. But it is good, deep quality, which means...
I thought they had... I mean, I guess maybe we different. I thought the depth was the one thing they did have. We talked about that before camp.
Yeah, but I was trying to decide if it's just, bodies. Depth in the sense that you physically have wide receivers who can show up and do it, or if it was quality depth.
It's better than, I bring up the scenario from a couple years ago.
It's better than, D-Rob and
DeMarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle, or do you feel better about having potentially Rashee Rice and Justin Watson, or Rashee Rice and, honestly, Richie James? Those are better names and also, I think, better football players, plain and simple, to have as my 4th and 5th receiver than what they were rolling out there a couple of years ago.
I think so, too, but we do still run into this issue, which is it's unproven. The reason why we feel better about Rashee Rice is because of what we talked about in the show a lot, which is we've just never seen them fail. And if you've never seen them fail, then, you're like, well, I'd much rather be thrown to Rashee Rice. What if Rashee Rice doesn't even become what D-Rob was in his career, which was what, a 400-yard receiver? I'm still laughing. There was a tweet 3 weeks ago. This guy be like, all you talk about is how Joe Burrow does with all this talent. And look at all this talent Mahomes has had. And look, some of it is very valid. He's had the single greatest tight end in NFL history. He had Tyreek Hill during a stretch of time. But on that list, they included DeMarcus Robinson. I'm like, you hurt your own cause here. Do not put DeMarcus Robinson on this list unless you're going to have a conversation. I just overall starting to think that maybe the hype around everybody is probably because Mahomes makes them look good in a practice situation. So I kind of still want to see the game time version. But they do have Richie James is a viable NFL wide receiver. MVS is a viable NFL wide receiver. I think Sky Moore can at the very least turn into what they are, right? They have a part, they have a role, they belong on an NFL roster. I just want one, what I still want in the reevaluation of this? I just still want that one guy to emerge. And honestly, I'm not sure we had a real chance at that this training camp because the most likely candidate for that isn't playing. The most likely candidate for the breakout and prove you're the one on this damn team was Kadarius Toney the whole time, and that man had surgery, so he can't play.
That's fair. I would say, too, though, even if he was 100% healthy right now and the preseason game was on Sunday, he's going to play, one series? You know what I mean? So I know. I get he's the guy that everybody's keyed in on, and I understand that. But I don't think if Kadarius Toney played one series on Sunday if he was healthy and had 2 catches for 30 yards. What unless he had 1 catch for 80 and shocked, and it was, oh my gosh, can't believe what he did on that play. I don't think you could make a judgment off of that anyway. That's what's tough. Certainly preseason, at least it's against an opponent. Training camp, when we're up there, look, we go up there and there's some things you can certainly tell. But first of all, any video that's ever put out there by a social media team for any. That's not the Chiefs thing. It's any team. It's obviously not going to make the player look bad. Okay, spoiler alert. The team,
even non-team stuff.
The team not going to put out a bad clip of a wide receiver. So just that's for starters. And then number two, with that as well, Cody, is the drills. When you're a wide receiver and you're in one-on-one drills with the corner, the wide receiver is supposed to win that in training camp.
Correct.
Like supposed to. It's actually
especially
more,
when the future Hall of Fame quarterback is throwing the ball to you.
Yeah.
And that certainly makes it easier.
It's supposed to go that way. So nothing, let's put it this way. Nothing has happened with the wide receiver group to make you feel worse, though. How about that, right? Nothing has happened to make you feel worse other than the injury to Tony, but now he might be available.
But I already assumed that going into the year. So how could I feel worse about that? I just assumed at some point Kadarius Toney was probably not going to do that. And some people were saying, hey, I think Rashee Rice might be, big now. And it's definitely a player I want to see. It's just, it would be... For me, unknown.
I know on Friday we'll talk more about this because we have multiple days until the first preseason game. But further down the depth chart is actually what's more interesting on Sunday. I mean, Mahomes might play a series or two. We'll find out Friday. But I want to see Deneric Prince, who's going to be listed and is on the first depth chart, which is put out by the PR staff, but is number one kick returner. I want to see the hands that we've seen at camp where he doesn't drop a football. Does he have that when he's actually got an opponent breathing down his neck? How does he react? He didn't catch a lot of passes because they didn't throw it in college. Camp, he's been catching them like crazy. So what happens when the Saints are actually trying to tackle him as he's about to make the catch? Does he have the hand still in that position? So he's someone, Deneric Prince, yes, Rashee Rice. And then defensively, of course, it'll be someone like Felix and Udike Uzama, who's got a little ways to go.
At least Spags said he was earning more playing time.
Yeah.
Because, well, that's what you want to hear. Again, he missed all of offseason. Like, I don't need K-State fans in my mentions again because I said he wasn't even getting first-team reps when every defensive end for the team was injured for the day. But I obviously think he's just going to be slower to come around. Not that he can't become a really important player. So, yeah, you kind of want to see him against actual talent. I was re-looking at the wide receivers, and it just makes you think. Meanwhile, the defensive end, we don't know anything on Chris Jones yet. And if you believe what Andrew Brandt had to say yesterday, bad news is you probably aren't going to find anything about it. This is how long he said it might be for a resolution.
My adage that I put out there on Twitter all the time, which is deadline spur action. And I think there is a deadline. It may be that day I talked about Labor Day, but it's probably a little earlier. And I think both sides move towards resolution in the next 2-3 weeks.
Okay, so we're still a few weeks out, maybe. Labor Day is obviously, September, what is it this year?
3rd, I think. Friday's the 1st, isn't
4th?
it?
Yeah. So
Saturday's the 2nd, 4th, yeah.
So a few days before the Chiefs open their season.
That's a problem, by the way, if it takes till then, because you got a game on that Thursday night. So that's why I don't think it'll be up to that. Because if that's the case, then week 1, he's going to be limited or not play against the Lions at that point. So that's why it's problematic. We look at the preseason calendar. Their last preseason game is what, August 24th or 25th, something like that. Did they get a deal done around there? I mean, even in his answer there, he admitted that. He said Labor Day, then he said, probably a little bit before that. Okay, so the 25th to the 30th, is that his timeline where we're at here?
I think it's important that I think that's what he's saying. He's pretty much saying somewhere near the end of August is probably around that time. I would say a week outside of game time would be a good time to be like, hey, are you going to do something? I do think it is very important, though, that we revisit what happened with Chris Jones a few years ago before he signed this most recent extension and just give you a quick little heads up to do one very important thing. Do not read into Chris Jones' cryptic social media posts. Don't worry about lyrics he's posting on Instagram. Don't worry that yesterday he sent out the tweet that said, KC, ... I love you. And don't worry about and I don't remember, all good things must come to an end. Is that the lyric he posted on Instagram the other day?
Yeah, that was last Friday.
He did all of this the last time. I think he genuinely enjoys sending out cryptic-laden social media because it's funny, right? He likes the joke. This is funny. It's funny to send out stuff like that, Gold, because everybody always overreacts in a way that is like, oh, man, does that mean he's not coming back? And I see Denver Broncos, Denver Broncos fans in his mentions asking these things. Like, it's fine. He can post whatever he wants on social media, Gold, and it in no way impacts my thought process on whether or not he's getting signed. You?
No, I mean, the tweets are fun to look at, and we do read into them a little bit. And when he did sign his extension back in 2020, I will say he tweeted something very, very similar to the one tweet he just sent out that you referenced. So that's why it's gotten a little bit more attention. He sent out almost an identical tweet in July of 2020, 4 days
Well, he doesn't send that much on social media.
But
it's always just like,
I think he enjoys it, and I also
Happy Sunday.
He's just like, I'm fine. I haven't been around KC. He's seen clips probably of his teammates at practice or whatever, and he's like, hey, he just sees the fan support and tweets it out. I don't think it means that a deal's happening in 4 days. Although we said the initial, like, hey, maybe there's some new info coming out. We said the first preseason game. 4 days from now is basically the first preseason game. But no, I don't think him tweeting that out means a deal is imminent or anything like that. We still go back to Brett Veach's comments.
So you are
yesterday.
still reading into them a little bit.
Kind of, only because in 2020.
We don't have to do this.
4 days after he signed. I'm not telling you he's signing this weekend. I'm telling you that this weekend was always the time to keep an eye on from do we start getting more information? Does anything leak out? Like, hey, he was at 30. Now they're talking about the years, or now they're trying to get an agreement. Like, we haven't had anything. To credit, I guess, both sides, both his agent
and the team.
You know, there hasn't been any leak or anything when it comes to
the last time when it was like Tyreek Hill's now asking for an unreasonable sum of money, do we assume that was coming from the Chiefs' end? I assume they were trying to soften the blow for eventually he's gone by saying he's asking for $30 million a year. What do you want us to do? The problem is the Tyreek Hill news broke so fast and quick, and now in retrospect we know that it was going on for weeks. But obviously things turned very quickly. It seemed like the entire time they were going to get Tyreek Hill signed to a contract, and all of a sudden things flipped. My real question is, and obviously you and I probably feel different. Tyreek Hill ended up back in Kansas City. We would have felt a lot different about what was the likelihood that Chris Jones still was here. Because you'd be like, hey, you can't, then we would have been having a conversation like, well, you can't pay everybody. But they already did that. They already did the big you can't pay everybody. They let Tyreek Hill go.
They weren't going to pay. If they would have paid Tyreek Hill already, to your point, then we'd be saying, oh, well, there's no way they can do an extension for Chris Jones. Because they didn't sign Tyreek Hill, it's like, you should be able to come up with a deal that works to keep Chris Jones in Kansas City. And so I still think a deal, if we're like getting an updated look here on August 9th, do I think a deal still gets done, period? Does an extension get done? I still say yes. It's not at the 75 or 80% that it was before camp started.
Is it 50-50 or is it like?
It's still above that. I would say it's probably 60-40 right now that a deal still gets done. One, we know he's playing for this football team. The trade stuff doesn't make any sense, ludicrous. He's playing for the team this year. Extension, it's dropped to a 60% chance. Where are you at?
Coin flip. 50-50.
Okay.
And while I'm more like 85-15 he won't get traded, I'm not at 0 like you.
Yeah, it's a 0 for me.
To
me, they just would have done it, man, multiple months ago if they really thought that was something that they could set up their roster to compete. We know this is a team coming off a back-to-back, or trying to go for back-to-back championships, coming off a Super Bowl season. Charles Omenihu's out for 6 games. Like, we talked about this yesterday. I just don't think they're set up as a football team that defensively right now on the defensive line.
I think
maybe a year from now, if Karlaftis develops into a double-digit sack guy, maybe if Felix has developed more, you feel different this next offseason, which is why if they don't get a deal done before this year starts, then maybe next offseason it's a much easier pill to swallow, even if he has a good year. Maybe you feel better about the young guys. I don't know how you could go in. If I told you Chris Jones was out of the equation, and then all of a sudden it's week 1, it's Karlaftis and Kando, Herring on the other side.
I think one of the bigger issues you might even have, and
look, no Jones on the inside.
That's certainly not good, and we would have massive questions about their defensive line. I think one of the other issues that people don't talk about is the teams who would be trading for him would want more leeway in the time to sign him to an extension. What it will cost to get Chris Jones means you would want to give him the $110, $120 million he might be asking for, because you're not giving up a first round, mid to late first round pick is probably where I put the Chris Jones value. I don't think you want to give that pick up without the ability to give him a contract extension. And while you could negotiate technically with Chris Jones at any point this year, you would have to get assurance from his agent that he's willing to get traded here right now, work on the extension details, and be signed in mid-September, mid-October, where we normally don't see these deals done. That's all, which, adds a whole nother layer of complexity to it. It's why I think it's way less likely. Meanwhile, the former Chief, a guy who ended up out of town, not for free agent reasons, but Kareem Hunt. Did you see what he did yesterday to the Saints?
Smart.
He pulled a fast one on the Saints. All the reporting coming out that they were close to a deal. Diana Rossini saying that they was likely they were going to sign, only to find out Kareem Hunt had called the Colts before he even stepped on a tryout field for the Saints, warning them that he was getting ready to probably go sign with the Saints. And now he's flying to Indianapolis for a workout, as their guy Jonathan Taylor's not even in the practice facility. He's rehabbing his injury outside of the facility right now for them.
Yeah, no,
that's good business. His agent.
Yeah, listen, he didn't call. He did not call the Colts. The Colts reportedly called him before he had a chance to ride with the Saints, and then his agent said, "Hey, they're going to offer you more money. Get to Indy." And that's what happened. Kareem Hunt didn't say, "Hey, man, I don't want to go to New Orleans. Please, Indianapolis, sign me." No, the Colts called him. We know the Jonathan Taylor situation is going on in Indy, and Jonathan Taylor's not at practice. He's healing from an ankle injury still. That's a mess in Indy. Now, again, much like the Chiefs situation, they have 3.5 weeks, if not more, to figure it out if you're the Colts. But if Jim Irsay is signing Kareem Hunt, it tells you that he thinks this gives him some more leverage. Like, hey, we really think that Jonathan Taylor's not going to be ready week 1. Let's go let's have Kareem Hunt. They also suffered another running back injury, I think, up in Indy. So the Saints, we were talking how that's a smart move. If they would have signed him without having Kamara, you got Jamal Williams, but you're going to have Benjamin out for the season. So now we'll see what direction the Saints go with another backup running back. But Kareem Hunt, I think, by the way, he made the correct decision. Not only is it more money reportedly if he signs with the Colts, but there's a chance he's starting week 1 now. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't going to start for the Saints. That was Jamal Williams. He could, and then Kamara comes back. He could be the third running back. The Colts, he's going to be the 1 or 2 back all year, depending on what happens with the Jonathan Taylor situation.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is going to hold out the entire year, but running backs have done it before to try to make this big grand point, and they keep running into the same issues. But Taylor's also just hurt. So you're going to have an opportunity if you're Kareem Hunt to play there. It just felt like fast and loose. Like the Saints thought they had him, and then all of a sudden, because I'm telling you right now, the second he's got this interview, you'll be like, "Hey, I know you've shown some interest," and then the Colts are like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" You're like, "You could have been talking to me this whole time." That'd be the one thing that would give me pause. Be like, I was available this whole time, and not much has changed. Jonathan Taylor's been unhappy, and he's been hurt this whole time. Nothing's changed in that department, other than the fact that yesterday it was announced he's going to go rehab away from the facility, which I got to be honest, not shocked by. I assume that might go down that way. I don't know.
What a mess. First year coach in Indianapolis, rookie quarterback.
What do you think about them? Are they gonna be?
If Jonathan Taylor plays,
are they good? Are the Colts good?
I'm optimistic on Anthony Richardson. I really am. I think they should start him week 1, but they need Jonathan Taylor for this to work out. And I think when you look at that division, outside of Jacksonville, why can't the Colts still be the second best team in that division? The Titans are obviously still there. They went all in with Hopkins, and I have some doubts still on Ryan Tannehill's ability this year. But the Colts, I think, could surprise people. I'm not saying they're going to win 10 or 11 games, but I think the Colts could surprise you and be, at least in the final month of the season, still alive for a legit wild card spot. I could see them pushing. I'm just more of a believer in Anthony Richardson, but part of that equation is thinking that they'll have one of the top 3 backs in football playing and happy with them all year. And right now, that's up in the air in Jonathan Taylor's situation.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't take them seriously because the AFC is too deep. It's like the Colts aren't going to be a real threat for anyone. The AFC's way, way, way too deep. But can they be
a threat in their own division?
Or can they just be like a pain in the ass? Because the teams that we talk about are not like the teams who are going to challenge you for the Super Bowl if you're Kansas City. But can they just be a pain in the ass? You want them to be a big enough pain in the ass for the other teams, for the teams who might be vying for a number 1 seed with you. I don't know if they have I don't know if they have Cincinnati on the schedule, but can they just one-off beat anybody? Cincinnati, Buffalo, Miami, whoever's on their schedule who might be one of the better teams in the AFC, can they just be a pain in the ass for those teams or for Jacksonville, whoever? That's really all I'm asking for out of Indianapolis, which I assume is the case if Anthony Richardson is good. He's definitely a freak athletic.
Their start of their season, by the way, Colts, Jacksonville, Texans, Ravens, Rams, Titans. That's how they open up the season there. Toughest game, Jacksonville, maybe Baltimore. Then Texans, it's a game you can easily win. Rams game, you could win that. The Titans game, that's a toss-up. So, I mean, there's a chance, 5 games? Could they go 3-2 during that stretch? Maybe. Like, lose to the Jags probably. And then the Ravens game, we'll see what the Baltimore Ravens look like. They're I think they'll be very good this year, the Ravens, but who knows? At that point, Lamar should be healthy and in a good spot.
I feel like the AFC, unfortunately, though, this is the conversation maybe we should have. Maybe we'll do it like Friday or something. Because the AFC has started to turn a little bit into the Chiefs wide receiver room, and everyone's better. Ravens are better. Browns are better. Jets are better. Miami's better. Colts are better. I'm like, they're not all better. Someone sucks in this group, and we better start figuring out who the hell it is. I'm not saying it's easy, but like someone in this group is disappointing, and I'm not sure which one it is yet. But I have heard, not just from you, like just everyone, it's like everyone's better. And I know that this is like a normal preseason part of this, but the AFC's not going to be that
Tell me
loaded.
who's not. Tell me who's fallen off. If you got all the answers, tell me who's fallen off then.
I told you I don't think the Jets are as good as everybody thinks they are. I don't think they're this 13-win team who's immediately competing for a Super Bowl.
No, I said they're going
to challenge for the division. I think the Bills are going to win the division.
They don't have to win 13 games to win the AFC East this year. Way too tough a division. You win 11 games, you might win the AFC East this year.
Yeah, the AFC East I do think is going to be a challenge. I don't think the Browns are any better. I don't think Deshaun Watson is a good quarterback anymore.
Yeah, I think sometimes when I say a team's better, you think they're going to be better. They're a 12-win team. The Browns are going to be better, Cody. They're not going to be a 5-win team. They might be an 8 or 9-win team. That's better to me. To say a team's going to be better doesn't mean they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, but I'm just like from an AFC perspective, it's just if the Jets are 3 games better than they were last year, and the Browns are 4 games better, and the Ravens are 4 games, it's like who is getting worse? Like someone's got to be 3, 4, 5 games worse. They all play each other. Like, and I get it. Well,
the Bills were a 13-win team. They could fall to 11 or a 10-win team.
Yeah.
The Jets were a 7-win team, so the Bills lose 2 games, and the Jets gain 2 or 3. The Dolphins were a 9-win team. Are they going to actually be what they were the first 6 games?
That's another team that I think people say might be better because Tua could be healthy, and if Tua's healthy,
there's
won
also
a lot of games
the
last year.
There's also a lot of the same. Like the Raiders were a 6-win team last year. They're probably a 5 or 6-win team this year. The Broncos were a 5-win team. I think they'll be better. Again, I think the Broncos are better. Not an 11-win team, Cody, but maybe an 8 or 9-win team.
But so far, you've equated for 25 extra wins in the AFC, and you've told me no one that's getting worse. Like at least say the Raiders are a 2-win team and get me 3 losses back.
I think the Raiders are going to be one of the worst teams in football this year. But I mean, when we're
the Texans can't lose less.
Yeah, they were a 3-win team, but they could also still be a 3-win team this year.
Yeah, but those losses are what I'm saying is like the losses are coming somewhere.
Sure.
For all the equated
it's not just
win
AFC losses,
that are going
though.
up.
They play NFC teams as well.
Like, I know.
You're asking, like, you want me to go through all 32? We can do that another day. Like,
we're going to do power rankings.
I gave you 7 teams or whatever that I'm going through. I can go through 32 if you want to give exact win totals for every team in the league. We can do that, certainly.
Hey, you want a team that's probably going to go down, Cody? I'll give you one. Titans. They'll lose more games. They'll have less wins this year than they did last year. There you go.
How many did they have last year?
They had 7. They lost their final 7 games.
They're going to have less than 7?
I'll put that down. I think the Texans finish higher than them.
What?
I think the Titans could finish last in the South.
I don't know, man. The Texans get that much better? Maybe the Patriots lose a few more games?
To your point, there's always surprises. Of course there's going to be surprises. There's going to be some team that has a quarterback injury that sucks all of a sudden. There's very sure things in the NFL. The one thing that, like, the surest bet this year still is the Cardinals to be the worst team in football. That's the surest thing. The Cardinals will be the worst team in the league. Bet on that. That is one thing we can certainly agree on. All right, coming up next, though, we're just getting started here on a Wednesday. It's Cody and Gold. Wanted to get into what I think has major ramifications, both for how we watch sporting events going forward and what it means from a betting perspective. We'll do that next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, live from the Chiefs practice field this summer. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
You're looking to make changes in your life? You can make changes thanks to our friends over at Centric. By going to centric.com/610, talking to our guy, Russ Mondry, you can start looking for those careers in IT. Go, we've said it plenty of times. IT is the future of Kansas City. It's the future of every city, and certainly here, and you can get that at Centric.
In just 4 months, we're talking about how the NFL season could look. Well, right now, we think we have an idea. In 4 months, it's going to look way different. In 4 months, you could also have a brand new career, though, in IT. And what's great about Centric, we've told you over and over how great their relationships are with companies in the area, right? 1,500 companies, they have hired Centric grads. Plus, these companies are constantly helping Centric build out their curriculum, and they're willing to change it on the fly. So you're not getting an outdated program. Let's say you're 2 months into the 4-month or so program. If there's a major shift in the industry, well, they know about it because they're in constant communication with these companies.
Go to centric.com/610. Find out what a new career in IT can do for you. I said my nephew graduated from there. It turns out tons of listeners have also done it as well. And start working towards that new career. That's centric.com/610.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
It's Gold again, telling you about my friends over at DuraVision, telling you about the best decision I made over 2 years ago, and that is no longer needing to be reliant on those contacts or glasses because I underwent SBK Advanced LASIK from DuraVision. I went in for my free consultation, and I didn't know really what to expect in that consultation. One, I frankly thought I was not going to be a candidate for LASIK because, well, that's what I had been told in the past, but that couldn't be further from the truth. I went through, they laid out an exact plan for me, why I was a candidate, what they could do for me, and just a few days later, I went in for a quick procedure. About 16 seconds in each eye is all it took for me. The very next day, I was right back here at 610 doing the show. I did some eye drops for a couple weeks, and now, honestly, sometimes I forget that, oh yeah, I used to wear those contacts. I used to have to worry about bringing contact solution. None of that matters anymore because of my friends at DuraVision. And you can take advantage of the end of summer LASIK savings event up to $1,000 on LASIK. Just give them a call at 913-491-3330 or go online to duravision.com.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
For the best barbecue in Kansas City, go to my favorite place, Smokehouse Barbecue. Smokehouse has been family owned and operated for over 35 years, and they've become part of our family as well. From their tremendous ribs to their delicious burnt ends, Smokehouse has something for everyone. Plus, their hickory pit beans are world famous. So visit one of their 3 locations in Independence, Gladstone, or Zona Rosa, or place your carry-out and catering orders at SmokehouseBBQ.com. For the best in barbecue, it's my favorite, Smokehouse Barbecue.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
'Tis the season. No, not that season. But it soon will be. And that means heating season. It's hard to think about right now, but this is the absolute best time to prepare for a warm and comfy winter. Why now? Because if you wait until it's cold, good luck. Now is the time to make the switch to a high-efficiency boiler from Navient. Their condensing boilers are Energy Star certified in a compact wall-hung design and backed by a strong warranty. Take advantage of up to $600 in federal tax credit. Find your local Navient installer at BoilerComfort.com. That's BoilerComfort.com.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Odyssey's I'm Listening is our commitment to more mental health conversations. Here's Corey Taylor of Slipknot on getting the help you need.
When people feel like they can't get any help, that's when they isolate and that's when they hurt themselves. Find what works. If it's medication, it's medication. If it's therapy, it's therapy. If it's both, it's both. But don't be afraid to try both. You know, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you need help.
Talk saves lives. For more mental health conversations, visit imlistening.org.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Yogurt. Stop in now to enjoy the key lime pie concrete.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
All right, just getting started here on Cody and Gold, 913-586-7610, the Jays Southland Tow Service text line. So I think at some point we probably believed the worldwide leader in sports would want to get involved in sports betting. It's probably not crazy if I told you that ESPN had interest in doing that even 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Well, yesterday there was huge news, not just in betting, but I think just how we're going to consume sporting events. And it's the news that ESPN's going to launch their own betting app. They're going to partner up with Penn Gaming, which had been doing the Barstool app. And if you've been tracking this, there's the Barstool Sportsbook app. That will go away. Barstool Sportsbook app will become ESPN Bet. Penn sold Barstool back to Dave Portnoy, and so he owns 100% of that now. Okay, I'm not going to get into like the weeds of exactly the financial details, okay? But the point is, Barstool Sportsbook will be no more. It'll become ESPN Bet. So that impacts if you're someone here in Kansas and you've got the Barstool Sportsbook app, it'll become ESPN Bet in November, reportedly. And eventually, heck, Hollywood Casino, it's a Barstool Sportsbook. They haven't built out the permanent one, but it's a
maybe
Barstool
that's why
Sportsbook.
they haven't built out the permanent one? I got to be honest. Maybe they had a little tip that this was coming down.
It makes you wonder for sure. But that will, at some point down the road, not be a Barstool Sportsbook. That'll be a ESPN Bet. If you want more than the nerdy details on that, I tweeted some stuff out yesterday at Alex Gold on Twitter. What I think is interesting, Cody, is what does this mean for the broadcast when you're watching down the road? Because we saw this play out during the NBA draft, some controversy about insiders, right? Guys like Woj and Adam Schefter who have inside information, and one tweet that they send out is so powerful, man. One tweet that they say someone's not going to play or someone's going to get drafted in a certain spot swings lines. And now there's going to be at least more of a perception, if ESPN's not careful, of something shady going on, right? Because I think there's some belief by some that if Adam Schefter on a Sunday morning, he's on NFL Countdown or whatever it is, and there's this perception that ESPN's going to purposely have him say something so that it skews the betting line. Right? That's a perception that exists.
Yes.
And
it feels like it just happened with Shams, so that's not helpful.
But even then, the perception alone is a problem. Because do I think that Penn, who, by the way, will be running the book, is ESPN just a licensing deal, okay? ESPN's not setting the lines, okay? It'll be the same back end that the Barstool app had. The guys at Barstool weren't setting the lines either, okay? So I want to be clear on that. I think sometimes ESPN, they're going to be setting the lines for the game. No, they're not. No. But there's a perception of somebody from Penn Gaming or whatever, are they calling up Adam Schefter in the morning and say, we need you to move this line, so report inaccurate information? No, I don't believe that's going on. I think that's absolutely ludicrous. However, the perception is out there because of their access. Woj and Shefty should not have the ability to bet through the ESPN Bet app.
They shouldn't be allowed to be bet on any sports. I'm just going to be honest, and I understand that seems like, how dare you? Sorry, that's a casualty of your job. If you're the president of Penn Gaming, you are also not allowed to bet on sports. Gold, I don't know if you've known anybody who worked at a casino, but they have certain rules in place for those things. That's just the reality of the situation. Those guys shouldn't be allowed to bet. Just avoid all worry over this thing. Schefter makes $20 million a year. He doesn't need to go wager on some NBA Summer League game. He's fine. He doesn't have to bet on those things. He makes more than enough money. He can find other ways to entertain himself. Pick up golf. This is the problem. And I know that we come from different spheres where, I certainly wager, but I don't cover sports wagering for a living, right? You might work at BetQL. I bet multiple times a week. I'm the casual person. There is no way on earth you should allow these guys to bet. Otherwise, you will risk it. Because here's the problem. Schefter already has a reputation for doing things slightly unconventional from like a traditional workplace standpoint. You and I are fine with it. Schefter is allowed to send copies of his articles to general managers if he wants, because that's how he gets the access he gets. The problem is when you operate in the shadows, which is how Schefter and Woj and these people have to operate, it is very, very easy to assume that you might or be willing to operate in the shadows when it comes to sports wagering. What stops you from getting a check or making your bosses happy or making Penn Gaming happy by doing these things? Just don't let them bet, ever. They are not allowed to bet as individuals. Sign it in your contract and move on.
ESPN is going to have to be really careful because there's going to be a lot of watchful eyes on this. This was part of the problem, by the way, with the Barstool Sportsbook app, right? And you had their relationship with Penn Gaming. And so when they were trying to add apps in these other states, each state has their own gaming regulatory board, essentially, right? And so Barstool couldn't get the Sportsbook app approved in some of these markets and it caused a lot of headaches, and they had to go in front of hearings and all this because of some things that were said on the Barstool media side. And it caused some issues. That's only why the relationship didn't work with Penn Gaming. But that could also be a problem if you're a regulatory body and you're what you described there, and you're seeing Adam Schefter put out information. You got to be really careful to make sure that the perception isn't out there that something shady is going on. But as far as for their own personal benefit, there's been absolutely nothing yet. This is where there probably needs to be some regulation. There's been absolutely nothing out there that says if Adam Schefter gets a text right now that says Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes.
This is how high-end guys who bet sports for a living.
And that's the thing. There's plenty of people that have inside information that bet, but the difference is they are not Adam Schefter and Adrian Wojnarowski.
Correct.
But somebody texts, let's just say, Adam Schefter, that Joe Burrow's out for the season. He gets that info now. There's nothing preventing him from going in. There's limits, but
betting the future on the Ravens to win the division.
Correct. There's nothing right now. Before he tweets it out and tells you, so then you can go and the lines can adjust.
This is where they have to protect their own ass. ESPN has to write addendums into these people's contracts that once they get into the sports betting space to protect themselves. Because here's the thing, ESPN, you have to protect yourselves and not make this hard for Penn Gaming, because Barstool made it hard for Penn Gaming. And when they made it hard, they were happy to just write off, like a piece of paper, just write off a $500 million deal and give you $1.5 billion instead.
Yeah, there's some more details in the deal. It's not as simple as him paying $0 to get the company back.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, they were willing to. They're not taking a loss in this thing. They're casinos. They make a lot of money. But
they lost money on the deal.
This is earlier. I'm not saying like I just mean they weren't making zero. But so when you look at this deal, they're willing to move on to a different property. They want to be protected. Do not. And I understand you're like, where do you draw the line? Does Scott Van Pelt have to never wager anything? No. I am specifically saying you need to draw a line for the highest level employees who
here's where it's tough.
Break this, but here's the problem. It's like, will NFL Network do that with Pelissero, or like how many people can you regulate?
That's the issue, Cody. Is that where do you draw the line on who's an insider and who's not? Because there's people that claim to be an insider, but they're not on the level of Adam Schefter. That's what. How do you define an NFL insider? How do you define? You know what I mean? Like how do you define that? It's tough. Is it because he has over
ESPN in it? They're opening themselves up to these questions, and I'm not going to blame people for like going down the conspiracy theory route. Sorry, you've opened yourself up to this. You've opened this door. This is on you. No, nobody's responsible for the conspiracy theories being out that Adam Schefter is now betting on these things, because you know what's the problem is that eventually there's always shady people. If you just happen to one of these days, ESPN will employ the wrong hockey insider, and that man will have a gambling problem, and he will use his inside information, and it'll be really ugly. It might be 50 years from now, but in all sports.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Right now, using his inside information for himself personally right now is, believe it or not, right now is not illegal.
It's just
whether
really
or not
gross.
What
I know.
What the average person should care about is if there's a perception that something is pushed out there on purpose to
skew lines to win more for the books.
Bettors and fans into making them think that this is actual news and it's not. That's where you got to be really careful, and it's scary, right? That goes back to the Shams tweet during the draft, where it looked like he knew something might not have been true that was pushed. That's where you the mere perception of that is the problem with it. But from watching the games now, I mean, if you watch Monday Night Football on ESPN right now, they still reference the, I think their partnership with the Caesar Sportsbook, they reference lines and they have graphics. It'll be interesting to see how all in do they go during the broadcast. When you're watching Troy Aikman and Joe Buck do a Chiefs Monday Night Football game in November,
how much are they going to mention ESPN?
I don't know if they're playing. I just use November as an example, but like, yeah, how much is ESPN Bet? Not talking about commercials, but how much does Joe Buck and Troy Aikman mention ESPN Bet? Do we have, while a drive's going on in the corner, the live betting odds for a touchdown on that drive? By the way, I have no problem with that personally. I know there's a lot of people that would have an issue with that.
No, I don't care. I mean, I just assume sports wagering is coming to the part of the product, and it already has for a lot of these sports leagues. That shouldn't surprise you, but it is going to open up an entire different regulatory thing it should, for some of these people who have information you don't, because they can screw up your odds, your line of thinking, and that is where the problems ensue. When all of these people started betting based on information Shams gave, and he is accurate 99.9% of the time, it also just feels like if you're Adam Schefter, I feel like when these kind of partnerships happen, you work at ESPN, I feel like you got to be a little more careful about how small of a thing you might report. Like, let's just say, like, he tweaked his knee a little bit in pregame. We'll see how he goes. Like, maybe not every little twist of an ankle needs a report, because that does change lines, impact things. And it did before, but now your name's attached to it, and that's where it starts getting nutty.
Some of that is up to the average fan and I guess consumer. Like, if you hear that somebody tweaked their ankle at practice on Friday, like, you got to it's gambling it is still gambling for a reason, right? I mean, there's a fine line. I mean, you have to make that. How much do you think if we find out on Friday somebody tweaked their ankle, but we're hearing he's going to play? You have to, in your mind, when you're doing a player prop for a guy to get 50.5 rushing yards,
make your own
do you think that ankle is a big deal or not? It's gambling for a reason. I mean, you're not. You're going to have short-term. You're going to have doubt.
Pregame on the day when.
Yeah, you're going to have doubt when you bet. I mean, that's a no-brainer. That goes on all the time. But I think it was certainly a huge story, both in the betting world, but also I think it has a major impact on how, even if you don't bet, how news through sports is potentially going to be pushed out, and how broadcasts are going to be done in the future.
It'll change a lot. It'll be interesting to see how they play it out. But I don't blame.
I do hope
people are allowed to have questions about it.
Oh, yeah. No,
we've
gone through. We have questions. That's what we're talking about. I would hope that the sports books, remember the old ESPN Zone days? If you've ever been to Chicago or Anaheim, those were like basically sports books, but they obviously was no gambling going on, but
they were essentially like Dave and Buster's kind of.
Yeah, but it was they had the big couch. It had some
million TVs. Yeah,
it was like a sports book. I hope they just basically do that design and they turn a lot of these Barstool sports books that are in person down the road into that, because that would be incredible. Because the ESPN Zone was awesome back in the day, the good old days of ESPN. Much different now.
I just don't watch it as much now.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's still.
I will say
this is like Saturday Night Live, and everybody just says it's worse, and it's probably the same.
No matter what your opinion is on Barstool or not, I will say this: as much as people view ESPN as like, oh, they're so screwed, and it's done. If you look at the sheer numbers, ESPN still, in terms of the scale of amount of people and the difference in demographics, it is still a much bigger play for Penn than it was signing a deal with Barstool.
Well, that's why it's for triple the amount of money.
I mean, that's why, because I've seen a lot of reaction like, oh, the ESPN's done. This is a dumb deal. ESPN is still so much. Look at web traffic, so much bigger than Barstool. It's not even funny. So from they're going to get way more eyeballs with the ESPN Bet platform. I'm not saying that 10 years from now it'll exist, because sports betting wise, there's going to be probably 3 or 4 apps when it's all said and done, and that's it.
And
there's going to be more consolidation.
All you have to do is lay in the cut for $1.5 billion. I understand there's parts of this partnership that come in there, but like really, you are just laying in it. You don't have to go design those sports books. They're going to do that. Pinnacle Gaming's going to do that. Yeah. They're just going to use your logos.
They got a lot of work to do though, because FanDuel and DraftKings and others already have the huge chunk of market share, so they got an uphill battle. There's no question about that.
They've got brand,
but it helps. It definitely helps. All right, JT, let's get to it.
Straight A student, but I'm friends with a cool kid. Following the rules.
How we doing this morning, boys? How we doing?
We're good. Hey, I'm glad we're in studio since practice wasn't going to be outdoors anyway. So I'm happy we're in studio today.
Yeah,
it's already over.
Yeah, it's done. It was a quick practice.
Practice is over. The press conferences have started. We'll get to that later. We know how we do that. But let's get into it. All right. So news came out yesterday. We know Mike Vrabel. Vrabel actually played with the Chiefs for a little bit. He also played with the Patriots. He's the head coach now, obviously, with the Tennessee Titans. He made the point yesterday at his press conference that he will not be the head coach for the first preseason game, as he's letting the assistant coach, Terrell Williams, take the acting head coaching job with the press conference and all that. How do you think, what is your opinion, and how do you think about that from Mike Vrabel's standpoint?
So we discussed this just a little bit yesterday, maybe for like 2 minutes. I've thought more about it. I think Vrabel's being lazy. Man don't want to do his job.
Okay.
Man don't want to do his job. Just trying to take a preseason game off, Gold? Guys like, press conference, don't want to do that. Run this preseason game, don't care. He comes from the Bill Belichick era of preseason game thought. You know how little Bill Belichick cared about preseason games? He didn't even play his quarterback there for like a decade. Man's just trying to take a day off. I respect it. I'm not even mad. I respect his decision to take
I think it's a win-win all the way around. Yeah, if you're Vrabel, you don't have to focus on it, but I think it's a great opportunity. Let an assistant coach be the head coach during preseason. Andy Reid in the past let Eric Bieniemy call plays. He wasn't as the acting head coach. Andy handled all that still. Vrabel's going all in with it. I love it. We'll see if other teams do that. We talk about programs to help minority coaching candidates and develop and all this. This should be part of that. Why not? I think this is a great idea. Now, if I'm a first-year head coach and I have a new quarterback, I need to probably, even in preseason, be running the show. But if I'm an experienced veteran coach like Vrabel, I got a veteran quarterback in this case in Ryan Tannehill, let me have my assistant have experience now as a head coach, and hopefully down the road it can pay off for him. I like it.
All right, yeah, I agree with you, Gold, about it being a win-win, because it's like a resume builder for Williams here. He's like, hey, I got the experience. I got that one game under me.
But this is the thing. Like, this is paper experience. Do you think that there's a single owner who's like, you know what? That preseason game you ran, it was dope.
That coach
Take the job. Come on in, man. No, dude, it's for show. It's a show thing.
That coach can talk about his experience though in an interview now. You can say, "Hey, what have you ever? What have you?"
Talk about that in practice. People run head coaching stuff in practices all the time.
This is a game, not a practice.
But it's a preseason game. It's not a game.
It's as close as you can get.
It's fake game.
Cody, you can't. This is as close as he can get to that. I mean,
but you
by your logic,
those things in practices,
Yeah, but by your logic, you're basically just like, well, just don't do anything to help them because all of it's a bunch of BS anyway.
No, I'm not
Let's not do the minority coaching clinics, Cody, because you're saying it doesn't matter either.
I'm definitely not saying that. I just think that those matter. Those actually matter. Don't just lump in any kind of coaching change to this thing or any kind of coaching advantage to this thing. I'm just saying this is a paper move. It's not. To me, it's like when Andy steps to the podium, he's like, I let Doug Peterson call the good plays. You're like, that doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean anything because that's different. He's like, that's a joke. Having someone actually be a head coach for a game is much different than just joking that all the good plays were called by my assistant. That's just Andy joking at the podium. I don't buy any of that crap.
I don't think he was joking.
Well, I didn't buy it. Did you? You actually thought he called all the good plays? Ha ha ha! Yeah, I don't take that seriously at all.
I don't think he called any plays. He just didn't want to admit it.
You guys, I was like, I hope you didn't agree to that. So, a report came out yesterday from CBS Sports from Dennis Robb, where they said that San Diego State was trying to build a Power 5 conference. One of the Power 5s, he was going to take some of the AAC schools and the Pac-4, in a sense, that are left and make a conference. Well, the AD for San Diego State later that day, yesterday, goes out and says, we did not do that. We did not do that. That's false. If I'm a San Diego State fan, I'm actually upset at the AD. Why are you not trying to do this? Am I silly for thinking the AD's wrong for trying to back away from this report?
Well, for them, they've got to be really careful because San Diego State seemed like they were kind of on the rise. And when the reports were that they were going to be one of the members who kind of helped save the Pac-12, you probably kind of want to be around these conversations. I think he's probably just trying to take a step back, don't you?
Yeah.
If I'm the San Diego State guy, I'm like, I got to take a step back because I don't know where the hell we're ended up now, and I got to be very careful about our next move.
It reminds me of when we hear, coaches. Nobody is actually a coaching candidate unless they actually got the job, right? We hear that all the time when there's coaching searches. Like, oh, do they offer the job to blank coach? No, I was never offered. Nobody wants to say they were offered the job unless they actually accepted it. Like, or if you're the AD, you don't say you offered the job to anybody else. No, that's the guy we offered the job to, and the other guy's like, I never got offered the job. You don't until the guy actually accepts the job. It's a stupid thing, but we hear this happen in coaching. That's how I view this.
It's always
we didn't do that.
The
deal didn't come together. We weren't working on this deal because it didn't come together. They tried to just act like it didn't happen because they actually couldn't make it happen. I didn't interview for that job because I didn't actually get the job. I didn't know what you're talking about.
We weren't interested in the Pac-12. They stink. They're losers. You're like, you just don't want it around, I guess.
You're just like, I want out of this conversation. I'll take a couple steps back and close the door.
They'd rather do these things cloak and dagger, man. They want to be behind closed doors. Once it becomes above that, it becomes harder to make happen.
Yeah, I totally get your guys' standpoint. My last thing is more of like a crazy stat that I learned, and was watching because of the Johnny Manziel documentary came out yesterday for Netflix. And in that draft, ahead of him drafted was Zach Martin, the offensive lineman that Dallas took. And at the time, Dallas fans wanted Johnny Manziel to be taken. Well, here's a crazy stat for you. Zach Martin has more Pro Bowl appearances than holding penalties in his career. Now, let that sink in for you guys. That is nuts. He's
holding penalties.
7 holding penalties in his career with 8 Pro Bowls.
Well, no wonder he's asking Jerry to get paid. Jerry Jones did him for a guy who's been a perennial Pro Bowler for him. He's just like, I'm not paying you. I'm paying Micah Parsons, which is not the wrong attitude. You just don't have to say it. You know what NFL owners could learn is that everything doesn't have to be said out loud. You could just, behind closed doors, have these arguments with agents or staff or general manager assistants, because he's technically the GM there, right? He's not like the president of whatever, or is he Jerry Jones' title?
I think his son is the president, isn't he?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, the son is the president, and he's the owner, obviously.
Yeah, but is GM in his title, or does he just give that to somebody? Yeah, it is. Owner, president, GM. But so, I mean, just don't say those things out loud. Good for Zach Martin. He is a tremendous guard. And I imagine he'll have no shortage of people who want his services, and for some reason he ends up out of Dallas next year.
All right, coming up next, we'll get to the 11 o'clock hour. One player that you are buying back into when it comes to the Royals, and someone else that has to answer for the Chiefs pass rush.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
He's got the catch. He's got the touchdown.
Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri this summer and see the reigning champs up close.
For the second time in 4 seasons, the trophy has a red and gold reflection.
Make the trip to St. Joe something for you and your family to remember. Whether it's touring one of the many museums, staying in a historic home turned bed and breakfast, experiencing quality dining or brewery options, hitting the River Bluff bike trails, or supporting a vibrant art scene, St. Joseph has something for everyone. Go to stjomo.com to view or download a free visitor guide and plan your trip where the Pony Express started and Jesse James ended. Again, that's stjomo.com for all the details to make your trip to Chiefs training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri, one you'll never forget. Produced in cooperation with Visit Missouri.
Back to school time is exciting and hectic. You can count on Hy-Vee to lighten your load when you shop with Aisles Online. Just order online, schedule a pickup or delivery time, and leave the shopping to us. It's easy to create and save a grocery list, shop specials, and earn fuel saver discounts, all while you're stuck in the carpool line. Upgrade to a Premium Plus membership and get free delivery and other great perks. Make back to school easier with help from Hy-Vee. Download the Aisles Online app or visit Hy-Vee.com today.
Hey, it's Clang. If you're like me, you're probably looking for ways to stretch a buck and avoid high prices when you can. That's why I like shopping at Hy-Vee. See, Hy-Vee matches the price, penny for penny, on thousands of items with retail giants like Walmart. Look for the red, everyday, low price tags throughout the store. They let you know you're going to get the best price at Hy-Vee. At Hy-Vee, I get low prices every day, their amazing store service, and extra savings with the Hy-Vee Fuel Saver Card. There's not a lot of certainty these days, but I'm very certain that Hy-Vee is the best grocery value in town.
Want to know why no one out pizzas the Hut? Pizza Hut's buy pizza, get free pizza. For one day only. On Wednesday, August 9th, buy a large pizza at menu price and get a free large one topping. That's enough pizza to feed you and the crew. Use code FREE PIZZA online and in stores. Only at Pizza Hut this Wednesday, code FREE PIZZA will get you a large one topping free with purchase of any large pizza at menu price. That's why no one out pizzas the Hut. Limited time offer, not available in some locations. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
This is Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney. The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation are teaming up with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City to recognize outstanding high school sport coaches through the Blue KC Coaches with Character program. We'll recognize 6 coaches as a Blue KC Coach with Character. Each honoree will receive a Royals VIP package and more. To nominate an area high school coach, Go to seeyouinthemajorleagues.org/bluekc.
Hi, I'm Andrew Mackey, an instructor at Centric and an Army veteran. If you're transitioning from active duty or already a veteran and aren't quite sure of your next steps, Centric is a great option for your future. You can use the problem-solving and leadership skills you gained in the military towards a new, exciting career in IT in just 4 months. If you've been looking for a way to get started in the IT field, put your GI Bill to work and start your new career in IT. Go to centric.com/610 for more information. That's CENTRIQ.com/610.
Freshness made easy with Febreze small spaces.
Want continuous freshness that fights odors with no batteries and no outlets? Try Febreze small spaces. Ah, but what's a small space? To answer that, we brought in our lawyer.
Small spaces include, but are not limited to, bathrooms, closets, laundry room, kid room, pet corners, man cave, she sheds, most nooks, and all crannies.
There you go. Febreze small spaces is the world's most convenient. Febreze small spaces is super convenient and never stops freshening for 45 days.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
When you're about to pop the real question to a lady you think is the real deal, don't screw it up with a ring that is anything but. This is Jean at House of Diamonds. Look, you know she wants and deserves a one-of-a-kind custom ring. Real custom means that it was designed for her, handcrafted for her, and finished for her and only for her. Picking a ring from a collection and then choosing options from a list isn't real custom. At House of Diamonds, your original one-of-a-kind custom ring is 100% designed, crafted, and finished right here in our shop, just for her. Oh, and you won't find any lab-grown love at House of Diamonds. Her timeless, real, natural diamond will be from our collection of the top 5% in each grade. Guys, you only get one chance to get this right. You don't get 3 strikes, and there is no replay official. Come see me, Gene, at House of Diamonds. House of Diamonds on the southeast corner of College and Quivira.
Shop new markdowns every day during the Ultimate Clearance event at NFM. Shop high-end styles at bargain prices. Closeouts, open box, floor samples, and more. Take up to 80% off suggested retail on furniture. Find rock-bottom prices on flooring. Save up to 60% off suggested retail on appliances and electronics. Clearance savings on furniture, flooring, appliances, and electronics only in the in-store clearance areas. Hurry in, new items added daily. Don't miss these unbeatable bargains happening now at NFM.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Donate on 610sports.com to the Let's Play Sports Equipment Drive, presented by Pinnacle Bank, benefiting the Urban Youth Academy. Thank you for all your support. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
I got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold.
Yeah, that's right. By the way, the Sports Equipment Drive presented by Pinnacle Bank still going on. You have till August the 11th, a couple more days to head out to the Urban Youth Academy and drop off that new or gently used sports equipment. We appreciate everybody so far that has already donated. It all benefits the Urban Youth Academy. We were out at Kauffman Stadium back in July collecting some of that. We appreciate those that dropped off items there. But again, you can continue to drop off items during regular business hours at the Urban Youth Academy, trying to help out those here in the Kansas City community with some sports equipment, something maybe you've had in your garage for a while, but the glove is still in great shape. Whatever it may be, we really appreciate it. You could also still go to 610sports.com and make monetary donations as well to the Urban Youth Academy. It's the Sports Equipment Drive presented by Pinnacle Bank.
I know we got some of that stuff out there from you guys at the K, but any help you can give us would certainly go a long way. So we appreciate going to 610sports.com.
11 o'clock hour, we'll get to the Chiefs Red half hour, about 30 minutes or so. You'll hear from Sky Moore. Sky Moore did speak to the media a little bit. A very short practice today, not a whole lot going on up there. And we mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire was back at practice, had an sickness yesterday, back at practice today. So the funny rumors of, oh my gosh, is this like, people were acting like it was like baseball. Like, oh my God, he's not practicing yesterday, he's getting traded. This isn't baseball. It doesn't set up the same way. But that's what it felt like for
And running backs, they maybe should treat it that way if you're getting ready to ship them.
Hug watch, something like that. Plus, I need Clyde healthy so he can play a lot on Sunday, so that way it's him and Prince just carrying the ball the whole time.
Well,
I don't need
we know
McKinnon.
Pacheco's not
We don't need McKinnon playing either, man. Don't need to see that.
God, no. Not even a little bit do I need McKinnon doing this thing. I bought back in. We're back, Gold. So, and more importantly, I guess.
You're buying back into what?
No, just one player for the Royals. But I think what matters here is my concern level is what actually is. Everyone should be bought back into the Brady Singer stuff. There are plenty of advanced statistics that told you some of the ERA numbers you were seeing were not accurate for Singer. And we talked about this. He's got to throw that changeup, and the more he throws it, turns out the better he is. But for the last 16 starts, so going all the way back to pretty much the beginning of May, guy's got a 3.71 ERA. It's actually below 3.5 in his last 8 starts. So things are back on the upswing for Brady Singer after another good start last night and what ended up being a Royals win. But he's coming off of multiple starts in a row where you can really believe him. And by the way, I'm counting in the bad ones too during that stretch. There's plenty of outings where he gave up 5 runs or 4 runs or any of those others. And he still has a sub-4 ERA. What scares me is that there are going to be teams banging down the door, begging for Brady Singer this offseason. And he's like the one guy I'm terrified to trade because of I don't have a belief in the Royals' ability to find and develop pitching yet. Frank Mazzucato's getting his ass kicked in A-ball. And I'm like, I don't love it still. And now, look, it feels like for the first time they got a little something cooking. Cole Reagan's kind of going, all right. Brady Singer's back. Okay. Let's work towards something. Although I am fearful that maybe we've seen the last start of Zach Greinke's career already and we don't know it.
I think he probably needs to retire, man. Dude, it's probably time.
I know, but
it's probably time. I know.
Can you start one more time so I can go out one more time? I don't want this to have we've already seen the last start.
He's on the IL. Maybe you get one more start this year, but I think this is it. This is it for him.
That stinks.
This is probably best for it to be his last season.
But I mean, having 2 quality starters is not going to get you that far.
It's not,
baseball,
which is
but
why they're going to have to make more moves this offseason.
God, but do you trade Brady Singer in order to make that move?
Well, I don't know if it has to be
How far out are you playing this string?
I don't know if it has to be Brady Singer. I would still be interested in trading him in the offseason, but I don't know if it has to be him. I think you could still look at packaging on the offensive side. You know, can you package? I'll just throwing out random name. Can you package something with Melendez and Pasquantino or somebody else? Can you find a deal like that brings back a pitcher? But I'm with you where it's been promising now for Brady. The question I have is, does he just wake up one day again and is like, you know what, I just don't want to throw the changeup anymore? I would hope the answer is no, but that would be my only concern. Do you think you now got far enough along and he's seen the results enough to realize, no, man, this is how you can be so damn good in this league if you're willing to throw that pitch?
My guess is that he'll bounce between. He's bounced between pretty much this entire year and May through August. So all but the month of April. I'm just eliminating the 1 month, and I know that that's easier said than done because he was awful that month. But he's got a 4.01 ERA. He is a very viable, very important major league starter. He's probably a 2. And you're saying with the changeup, God, are you ruling out 1? He's a 2 or a 3 probably at this point. I didn't realize, by the way, when I was going back through this, I was like, you know, maybe I've been a little too hard on Brady this year. And then I was like, man, you go all the way back to the beginning of May and he's been a good starter? I was like, well, then why is his ERA? Why was it like 7 for so long? His month of April, in which he made 6 starts, was so bad. He gave up 8 earned runs twice and 5 earned runs twice in his starts. And I was like, oh my God, no wonder his ERA ballooned out of control. You know what it was? I am now convinced that everything we've made about Brady Singer's start can be equated to one very simple thing. He got screwed because of the World Baseball Classic. The man went and joined a roster, never pitched, and it bombed the beginning part of his season. Brady Singer's fine. Even if his 2-pitch pitcher, he is not perfect, but I was wrong. He's fine. He can be better, and he can be great if he throws that 3rd pitch. But if he is just a fastball slider guy for the Royals, he is an acceptable starter that you can rely on. I can bank that entire stupid April up to the World Baseball Classic because every other part of his career suggests that he's not that he's not April of this year, and that he is what he has been since May 6th, when I'm equating all the bad starts, all the good starts, all the good and the bad run, and he is a 3.9, 4-point earned run average guy, which makes you a 3. You're a 3 starter, and you can be better than that if you're willing to throw the changeup. But I don't know if the Royals are in a position right now that they can afford to give up starting pitching unless they're flipping it right back for AAA or AA starting pitching that is on the cusp.
Yeah, you got
to be close.
Can it be 2 for 1? I mean, are you able in the offseason to have him involved in a trade that results in one pitcher that's big league ready and one that's in AA or AAA? I don't know if that kind of deal exists, but that would be something I would still be interested in doing. Because otherwise, you go to the next season. Okay, let's say Brady's your number 2. Cole Reagans is looking like he can be your number 3 next year. The way things are trending, if not better than that. Okay,
so you trade a position player for your 1?
Jordan Lyles is still under contract next year,
5.
so he's your 5. Okay, so who's 1 and 4?
4 is any of the starters who win out of the bad group.
Okay,
right.
And then,
let's just be honest.
And then
Marsh
1
or Bubic or Lynch or who. It's one of the guys out of the has not succeeded.
Or another random free agent pitcher. Okay,
well, I'd like that guy to be the 1.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're getting a 1 in free agency.
I
think the only way they find a true number 1 is via the trade market. I don't think they can find an ace or a 1 in free agency that they're going to meet the price and pay the bad team tax. I don't believe that will exist. Now, can they find a free agent pitcher that can slot in and be their 4? Yeah, they can do that in free agency.
Really,
sure.
What they're looking for is another 2 or 3 that is their 1 technically, and they just got a bunch of 2 or 3, a bunch of 3s.
Yes, that's fair.
Like what I'm looking for is a bunch of 3 starters, and one guy is technically the guy who's the 1, but he's not a 1, if that makes sense.
On the text line, 913-586-7610, someone says, hey, Bubic was looking great till he got hurt. He was, but when's he available? It could be, May, June,
I
later?
could say the same thing about Daniel Lynch. Daniel Lynch was also looking good before he was hurt again, but that's why I said the 4 starter is... It's Heasley, Bubic, Marsh, Lynch. It's probably all of them just mismashing together to equate to 30 starts. But I'll be honest, that's probably your 4 starter. And that you got to go find another guy of the quality, as it looks Reagan's might be right now, of the quality of Brady Singer. Because then at the very least, no, you don't go 6, 7, 8, 9 deep like you need to go in a starting rotation. But at least you have a starting 5 that is respectable. I'm not going to tell you that it's a top half in the American League starting rotation even, but it's at least on paper has hope. You and I both know going into the season, the only hope is that, and we said this, the only hope was that if all of these young starters, 3 of them just magically all click. And it turns out Brady just stayed the same and nobody else rose, right? The most recent riser is a guy they traded for in the middle of the season for Aroldis Chapman. It wasn't Lynch, it wasn't March, it wasn't Heasley, it wasn't Bubic. None of them. None of them stepped up to the plate. No guy in the minors stepped up to the plate. Mazzucato didn't just fly through the system. They didn't just, whatever. They didn't find those guys. It's like the one guy I'm fearful of trading. I'm not saying it would be a hard no and I wouldn't entertain it or listen to offers from teams, but it's the one that terrifies me the most because we've yet to see on the back end that they can find those.
Don't you have to make moves like that as an organization?
Sometimes.
The guys you don't want to trade, the ones that are tough to trade, sometimes end up being your best moves because they can also bring back the most. There's
That's
risk.
why there's trade rumors at the deadline where they were asking for the world, as they should.
Yeah. I mean, the good moves sometimes involve risk, and are you willing? I think they're in a spot as an organization where you I don't want to say you have nothing to lose, but they're pretty damn close to that. But where
they're not quite there. They're close.
But when you look at what potentially he could bring back. If he can bring back multiple pieces that you think can help you in the next 2 years, then I think it's something I absolutely would strongly entertain.
Scared. I don't want worse. I don't want the starting pitching getting worse. And Brady Singer, you might think, because you're just going to look at his ERA and be 5, you're like, what a terrible year for Brady. That has not been the case. He had a really bad April, and other than that, he's been a very good starting pitcher, and lately he's been even better than good. So it just depends on which way you look at it.
We'll get to the trash of the day coming up in about 6 minutes or so. It's Cody and Gold here. We are in KC today. Back in St. Joe on Friday. No practice tomorrow for the Chiefs as they get closer and closer to the first preseason game against the Saints on Sunday. That'll take place down in New Orleans. And thinking of the Chiefs, we've focused in on where the pressures and where the sacks are going to come from with this group and who's going to step up, not only with Chris out right now, but Charles Menehue going to be out for the first 6 games. We've focused on the defensive line, but maybe it comes from the linebacking core a little bit because
this is the guy you were high on coming out of the draft for this purpose.
For this very reason, and that's Leo Chenal. And we learned on the pronunciation guide today, everybody's been calling Leo Chenal, right? Everybody, I feel like.
I have been.
So have I. I know on this show,
Can't speak for others, but
I've heard it. On the pronunciation guide, it says it's Leo Chenal. So we'll call him Chenal now. He's someone out of college because of his athleticism. When they drafted him, he said maybe he's someone they can just use in blitz scheme. That was the very conversation we had the day after they drafted him. Was, okay, well, he's behind Willie Gay, he's behind Nick Bolton, but can he be someone they use in spot situations to blitz? Well, we saw him be effective in the postseason and in the Super Bowl. Got more action there than he had really all season overall. Can he build off of that? Is he a guy that they can get creative with? The same way they're creative in the secondary with L'Jarius Sneed, can they get creative with Chenal coming in and blitzing a little bit more, being more involved there? You got your coverage linebackers, okay? Drew Tranquill is going to help them in coverage this year. I really think so.
Linebackers, that's Bolton and Gay.
Yeah, and Willie Gay's athleticism can help you a little bit as well in coverage. But what's Chenal going to do? I think he has a chance to help you, in run situations, but also can he be more of a pass rusher for you at the linebacker spot this year?
They didn't use him that way at all last year. So I remember you'd said, like, hey, he might be the kind of guy who gets the kind of sacks from. They didn't use him that way. It doesn't mean he's incapable of doing it. That's certainly not the point I'm trying to make. It's just they didn't use him to do that yet. So were they waiting to unleash it? Did he need to learn that part? I do think that he could be. He's had a very good camp, as all of the linebackers have, because that's a very deep position for them. But he only lined up outside in the stat, and thanks to Chiefs Wire, by the way, the USA Today, who had it, he only lined up outside 58 times last year. So a lot of this is trust.
20% of his snaps, though. He didn't have a lot of snaps.
No, but it's, do you utilize... Here's the question I have with Chenal about it. I think he could be utilized in that way if you can find an excuse to put him on the field. Can you find an excuse to put him on the field? You know what I've seen in practice? This is one of those like training camp observations. I've seen them a couple of times line up 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers. So if they're going to unveil a new version of the way they're set up pre-snap, then there's a really good chance of sending some of these linebackers, and which I think Bolton and Gay might be able to do it too. Gay's really fast. Maybe use your linebackers to blitz for the first 6 weeks. Maybe we've been missing the element if Chris Jones isn't ready to go.
Spags talked yesterday, and he said, Chenal talked yesterday, and he talked about Spags trying out different positions on the defensive line, and in the role that they call their joker, the joker role, and that basically puts Chenal as an edge rusher. Like that's basically what that is. So there, I mean, you're right. Last year, it only happened 20% of the snaps. We'll see if that increases. His snaps in general, do they increase or not? That'll tell us a little bit too. But basically, he's lining up on the perimeter, outside the tackle and outside or the tight end. That's basically an edge rusher, even though he's a linebacker. That's how they're going. That's what it could look like if it's actually something they think he can help them with. The fact he's getting work on it at camp is obviously good, but we'll see if they give him more opportunities. And again, they call it the joker role this year.
I like the idea they use him that way. And this goes back to probably Spags treating a rookie defender more like how he treats rookie defenders. Because you could be like, well, why didn't he play last year? I'm like, well, that's how Spags normally treats rookie defenders. We just got blind to it for a year because he played literally every rookie secondary player he had. He just treated the rest of the rookies. It was a weird year. Karlaftis was a key figure in their defense. 3 of their corners were key figures in their defense. But then the other guys, Brian Cook, Leo Chenal, he treated them more like he treats other guys. Like, I'll put you on the field sometimes, but only when I feel comfortable with it, not the other way around. So we should kind of expect bigger roles from Cook, bigger roles from Chenal. And honestly, they're going to have to get creative in blitz stuff because as it sits right now, their defensive line depth isn't good enough.
Yeah, well,
but that's because Chris Jones isn't here and because Amina Hughes suspended.
If you're wanting a promising sign, I mean, 58 snaps you mentioned for Chenal, 20% were basically lining up in this joker role, and he still got 4 pressures and a sack in the Super Bowl too. Like, so
that was the best game of his entire career. He played great in that game.
So maybe that's where you're hoping to build on. They still went out and got Drew Tranquill, but again, a different type of linebacker. But I think Tranquill is more going to eat into the snaps of Willie Gay than anybody else on this team. We can talk in the Chiefs Red F Hour about the first depth chart and all that, which is something to take with a grain of salt. But still, that'll be something to watch. I think even in the preseason is how are they lining up? Would it surprise you in the preseason if Chenal's lining up and actually is all over the place and is able to get pressure on the quarterback? He's going to be one of the linebackers that'll play a lot because he is a little bit further down what we perceive to be the depth chart for this upcoming season. Like you don't need to see really Nick Bolton and Willie Gay play much in the preseason, but could see a lot of Drew Tranquil, a lot of Chanel, and then obviously some guys further down the depth chart as well. We'll get back to the Chiefs in 10 minutes here on Cody and Gold, but for now, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
All right, so this one is something that I guess maybe if you have kids, you still deal with. Maybe it's something at the elementary school. I don't know. The headline is, Mom refuses to kill her child's head lice because she's vegan and doesn't want to murder a living thing. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Gross. Have you ever had lice?
I don't think I did as a kid.
I
know. I can't remember. Maybe. I know there was a point in time, I don't know, probably like elementary school, second, third grade, where that was definitely a conversation. And I know people were, you had the comb and the shampoo. I don't know if I know we had this. Dude, somebody's class had it because I have two sisters. I don't know if one of them somebody's class had it, and your parents are checking to make sure you don't have it. I remember that kind of thing going on, but I don't hear about that as much anymore. This mom, though,
my kids have had pink eye like twice this year. It's the worst.
Well, that sucks. That's very contagious too. So
I don't keep saying.
You end up getting that thing too.
I've had
just a little antibiotic. I've had it before. A little antibiotic drop and you're good. But anyway,
it really is like not contagious. Like 24 hours. It's just annoying.
But the neighbor of this family wrote a column in a paper in Australia explaining that her 7-year-old daughter is friends with the girl next door whose family is vegan. Quote, "That's fine. We respect their choice. My problem is that recently this otherwise delightful child was at our house and scratching furiously. And I discovered she was crawling with head lice." The woman explained that when she mentioned the head lice to the vegan mom, of course, it's pronounced mum in this article. She told her that she wasn't planning on doing anything about it because, quote, "vegans don't kill living things." Look.
Can you not get, reported to, family services for this?
You can.
Your kid just being crawling with lice?
Their neighbor told she was in the practice of combing the lice in nits into the garden where they had a chance of survival. So the mom didn't want to kill the lice. She was trying to comb it out and let them go survive in the garden. What are you doing here?
I'm sorry, lady.
That's, one, it's just gross. As of now, I'm itching my head because we're talking about it.
You got to draw a line.
You're right that
on
the mom
vegan
should
part.
be investigated a little bit here.
You got to draw a line on the vegan stuff. We all have to agree that it's cool that you don't want to, eat hamburger meat. Whatever, fine.
Lice,
But you
though.
can't let your
Lice.
kid get covered in lice. It's bad for them, for starters. What happens if your kid gets a tick? You're just like, it's fine. We don't care. Because you have to, in order to get a tick off of you, right, you got to, decapitate it, essentially. So does your kid just get to keep the tick forever? Just going to get Lyme disease? Get allergic to red meat? I guess they wouldn't care about that part. But come on, you draw a line. Dude, my kid would probably never hang out.
Also,
we're done here.
That's the other thing is, not only is it's gross, obviously, but I feel terrible for the kid because other kids aren't going to want to hang out with your daughter. Because she's going to be known. She's going to be known as the kid at school that has lice in her parent, and she's had lice, and the people are going to always remember her as the kid that had lice. It's terrible. It sucks for the kid. Yeah.
Remember that kid who had lice for 2 years when we were in elementary school because her parents wouldn't wash her hair? You're like, oh my god. Someone ought to just do it secretly and not tell the parent, and just be like, man, I must have just gone away naturally.
Well, Cody, you're the one with the kids. As a parent, I maybe be a little weird about this, but I would tell my kid, hey, you can't hang out with her anymore, or she can't be at my house.
Well, definitely not the house.
No.
Hell no.
Nowhere if they've got lice.
Okay, that's what I was saying. Maybe I was overthinking it because I don't have kids or anything, but I was like,
can't go to school or any of that.
I wouldn't be quite that harsh. I wouldn't want my kid trying to be instantly judgmental. So I'd be like, we're just hanging out to see them for a little bit. They're busy. They're super busy.
I like that answer. I like that. We got to just, take a break. We've been with them too much.
Just not enough time. I don't know what it is.
That's all. The parents.
Call
that's
their
terrible.
parents.
Now that mentions the mom. I mean, I'm assuming there's a father involved in the situation here.
That guy needs to intervene.
What's is he good with
when
this?
the mom's in the grocery store, he's got to get the lice shampoo out.
Just do it real quick.
Everything, and then he's got to bribe the kid to lie to the parents.
I'm assuming
not telling your mom about this. Here's a mountain of candy. Here's a video game. Whatever. Just do not tell your mom.
Assuming the dad's there, I'm guessing the dad probably is good with this as well. The whole family. If the whole family views it that way, then he's probably got the same viewpoint as she does. That's just disgusting.
That's a bold level of veganism I've never seen. You won't even get rid of lice? Lice?
I just Googled vegan lice, and the first thing that comes up is, how do vegans treat head lice? This is a problem, I guess.
What's this article suggest?
In this article, it goes through and it just why vegans should treat head lice, and it gives a reason why you should still do it. Thank you for that article.
Yeah, that'll surely convince that lady.
The greater good argument is their first thing. Oh, we've tried that with a lot of things here in the last couple of years. That doesn't always work.
Anti-lice shampoo.
That doesn't always work. What's that?
Natural anti-lice shampoo. It's not working. My wife and I'm dead serious. We get into this stuff sometimes with like yard stuff. So like we've had the little weeds that grow up in between like the paver stones on the back patio. And I'm like, I'm going to go straight to like, she really wants like a natural solution. Or like when we were trying to clean an oven one time before we sold it. She's like, what's the like non-chemical or the less chemical version? I'm like, look, most of the time I'm with you. But there are times in which the toxic, like borderline, might take down the ozone one day level chemicals is what's required for this job. We are taking this stuff down with the stuff that's going to kill any grass that's ever existed in mankind. And we're going to just spray to this one area and it's going to murder all of this because it's full of toxic chemicals. And we're just going to be fine with it this one time. We get over this. Like I will bend most of the time, but lice is one of them. I don't care if you're a vegan who's never harmed a fly in your life. Lice is the time we're breaking this rule. We are getting the biggest, most chemically thing they sell at the store, and we are ridding ourselves of this problem. That, bed bugs, roaches, we're bug bombing the house. We're not looking for the like natural. It's like vinegar and oil. No, we are getting the bad stuff, the bad for you stuff to get rid of these problems.
Someone wants to know they're worried that you might have Lyme disease because they say your philosophy on how to kill a tick is not correct.
It's not? You're not supposed to get rid of the head?
Not just like multiple people.
Okay.
And I
just thought you were supposed to pull out the head. Well, not decapitate. I mean, I pulled the head out because like it gets attached. You're supposed to like pull it out.
You definitely don't decapitate a tick. That's the worst way to remove it. Leaves the head behind. Someone else says you don't decapitate a tick.
Not decapitate.
You got to make sure you get the head when you pull it out. You got Lyme disease, brother. That's what somebody said.
Essentially decapitate. I know you're supposed to pull the head out. That's the way that I normally do it when you're getting the. I haven't had a tick in a long time, but I understand you're supposed to remove the head.
I always heard that. I think I've only maybe had a tick once, but I've heard you can do the trick with the lighter, right? And just burn, basically.
I've done that with leeches.
You've heard that though, right?
Yeah.
Like with the tick, even you can get a match or something, and it'll kind of
tweezers and then separate it at the head is pretty much what I've done. Like pull the head out of your skin.
You just basically light a fire on its ass and let it fly off, or not fly off, but burn off.
If it's attached, I don't know if that works. I also I never did that method. I only did that with leeches.
Hold on, stop for a second. Sorry, JT, I got to cut you off. You only do that with leeches.
I said I've only done that with leeches.
I don't know. Look, you're more outdoorsy than I am. We've established that over the years doing the show. Where the hell have you been where you're interacting with leeches? What weird medieval thing are you doing?
When I was a kid, we just spent hours, days in the woods. And you'd walk through like low levels of water and stuff where you'd like be up to your knees in order to get to a different spot. And every once in a while as a kid, man, just based on where we were playing, you'd walk up and there'd be like 6 of them on your legs. And you'd be like, oh, no. And you're like, well, we got to get rid of these leeches. This is no good. I'm taking
leeches
it. Neither
are
of you have never had leeches on you?
No, I've never seen a leech in my life other than a movie. That's gross. The last leech I saw was during Game of Thrones, okay, when they were doing it for some medicinal reason or something. That's about it.
Leeches? Yikes. But I was going to say, when I got ticks, my parents would take bacon. And bacon would help get them off. Yeah.
What do you mean? Like they slapped the tick with bacon? What do you mean the bacon?
So they would cook the bacon and then they would put the bacon on it and it would fall right off.
What?
What is it? The grease? What's
I have
the
no
story
idea.
there?
I have no idea. But my parents always took it and we would just after it would cook, let it set for like a minute, put it on, and it would just fall right off.
Interesting. Man, I'm learning new things every day. You know.
A lot of advice for ticks. We're helping people use Dawn soap and a Q-tip. Run around the tick and let go. Huh.
Okay. Also, it appears some leech advice. So great.
Yeah,
the text line very helpful for leeches.
Yeah, people saying they had a leech in a very unfortunate spot on their body. That is terrifying. Very, very terrifying. All right, coming up next, we will get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll get back into the wide receivers now over halfway through camp and where things stand, plus the unofficial depth chart is out.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval, ranked number 1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions make sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
Playing football is hard. Watching football shouldn't be. Tired of low-quality snacks and grainy TVs? For a perfect football viewing experience, visit Bogey's Windy City Pubs. Enjoy mouth-watering sandwiches, dogs, soups, and more. South Leawood, BogiesWindyCityPub.com.
Dispatch, this is Mindy. Ignition, plumbing, heating, and cooling. You know, you don't have to put off fixing plumbing problems in your home anymore. I mean, you could just ignore that clogged drain or visit MissionPHC.com to take care of your plumbing problems. Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. License 202058.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and Unlimited Plus. A value of up to $449. Head to Verizon today. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refund.
DQ presents... That's the sound of someone seeing the DQ $7 meal deal. And that's the sound of someone deciding if they want the original cheeseburger or 3-piece chicken strips with their $7 meal deal. And that's the sound of someone digging into their choice of original cheeseburger or 3-piece chicken strips, plus regular fries, a drink, and a sundae. Sounds pretty good, right? Grab the full-size $7 meal deal only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and Unlimited Plus. A value of up to $449. Head to Verizon today. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refund.
Cloudy with a chance of strong thunderstorms, high of 79.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com.
Max Motors, our team is ready to help you with all your automotive needs.
My husband and I were looking for a truck. We were told that Max Motors was the place to go. They had exactly what we were looking for and at a price that worked within our budget.
Shop 24/7 at maxmotors.com. Open late. See dealer for details.
Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
Chiefs Red Half Hour is brought to you by Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll get to the unofficial depth chart that did come out late last night, heading into the first preseason game. The disclaimer that comes with that unofficial depth chart.
It's done by the PR staff.
It is. It's definitely nothing you should take 100% certainty or anything like that. But you want to be listening very closely during this segment because we have your next chance to qualify for that Guillotine League. The Cody and Gold Guillotine League, we gave away 3 spots yesterday in the Guillotine League. We will have another opportunity coming up this half hour. At the end of this half hour, we're going to ask you a question, something that we've discussed during this segment, and you will have to be a certain texter with that answer to 913-586-7610. 913-586-7610. Cody and Gold Guillotine League, we got, 11 spots left, I believe, if my count is correct there. For our league, and we'll have another chance coming up in the noon hour and the 1 o'clock hour. But be listening throughout this Chiefs Red Half Hour for your chance. Before we get to the unofficial depth chart, though, we're over halfway through training camp. As I said, the first preseason game is on Sunday. I don't feel the wide receiver group, through practice at least, has changed anything for me.
Has anyone moved the needle for you? I guess like an individual player that you were higher or lower on going into camp, if the unit as a whole hasn't.
Yeah,
I know it's a training camp and it's a practice, but you can start changing your opinion on somebody being further ahead or behind or whatever.
The one player individually that I'm feeling better about, and I'm trying not to get into the same trap that we had last year, and it's Sky Moore. I'm feeling better and better about him based off of training camp. But last year he flashed and looked great at camp as well, so I'm trying to hold back. But, I've said I think he can be a 550, 600-yard receiver. I'm trying to not shift just based off of 2.5, 3 weeks of practice because the way he's looked and the discussion from his peers, hearing Trent McDuffie talk about Sky Moore as well, he seems like he might be in store for a much bigger year than I realize. That would be the only player that maybe has shifted my thinking. But we haven't seen a preseason game. Everybody looks great in these practices. One-on-ones are meant for the wide receivers to beat the corners, basically just the way it's set up at a practice. So I'm always hesitant and I'm skeptical. I don't think much has changed with how we should view the wide receiver room unless, as I said, maybe Sky Moore I feel better about and I'm buying in and they're kind of getting me again with how he's looked at camp.
I would say, so every wide receiver has had that story told about them, but I would tell you, never believe it with the rookies. So as much as we think Rashee Rice might do something for the team this year, pump the brakes. Look at Sky Moore last year, right? And how much they were talking about him, and then tell yourself, do you really think they're telling you the entire story there? And the answer is probably no. We haven't had a chance to gush over Tony and change our opinion on him. If anything, we are back to where we were before the ultimate hype hit with him, which is, You're going to be healthy, you're going to play, and you're more worried about those things than how high of his ceiling it is. Richie James has felt exactly the same. I think the only answer here might be Sky. I think if you're saying, hey, do you have any different opinions on overall the wide receiver unit? The only thing you could say is maybe I've set a bar too low for what Sky could be. Still not willing to pencil it in or say that he is going to become that, but maybe there is something more there for Sky that I should have considered a possibility because they're talking about him like he's there. But then I go back to a little bit of the conversation we had yesterday, and I just don't feel like guys they use in that gadget role are also guys they throw the ball to 70 times, you know?
No, but I think he's going to be a slot guy clearly for this team. And with that, there's certain snaps that on every team how many snaps are going to go to, needed for someone to fill the slot. And he's the most obvious fit for that. So I think he can be the guy that's randomly on a jet sweep and is also taking snaps as a wildcat, as we've seen at camp, but also be majority of the time the slot receiver. I know beginning at camp, Sky said, I'm still, he's talking about he can do everything and what his role is. I think he needs to hone in and really, hey, you are a slot receiver. You can be a very good slot receiver in this league. That's where his focus should be. And that's why, watching camp, it's just, I'm hesitant because of what last year was for him, but it's hard not to get excited again when you're watching him up at camp. But it's that tough balance based on prior history of a year and just knowing, again, it's practice he's going up against his own team.
I feel a little better that the depth on the back end isn't just, unplayable. And I don't know that I was, way in that camp, but I thought it was possible that we have overblown the depth and Rice had no role or Justin Ross had no role or all this depth at the back end is just, names on a sheet, not players that if you had to throw to, you would feel good about it. I feel a little bit better that if you had to end up throwing to those guys who are 5, 6, 7 on this list, a little bit more because Tony got hurt or there were other injuries that existed or these things, that I'm feeling better about their ability to step in and actually produce a little bit than I was at the beginning, because it does appear like they are at least comfortable enough that I don't have to panic over it yet. But it is, to me, at this point, still how I viewed it before, which is just its depth. Depth is a nice thing to have, but it doesn't mean that any of these guys are going to step up into stardom yet.
Yeah, someone on the text line, not from the 913, points out, hey, maybe even argue Justin Ross. No one thought he'd make the team, and now you guys and Pete are saying he's going to make this roster. It does look like he's going to make it as well, not just because of his performance maybe, but Jody Fortson continues to be out of camp. He's dealing with the shoulder, and you and I both have talked off air about this, and it sure seems like he's trending towards a PUP list or IR stint, or not PUP list. I get to be an IR at this point. It can't be a PUP list anymore, right? It's got to be IR for Jody Fortson. I mean, we read into Instagram and social media earlier with Chris Jones. Well, if you go and look at the Instagram story for Jody Fortson, it's a quote. I don't think it's a Bible verse. It's just a quote. And the location that he pinned is Miami, Florida, as if he's not there. Now, I can't confirm that, but his Instagram claims that he's in Miami. So
and busy social media. Chris Jones is saying he loves KC. Jody Fortson's in Miami. Did you see Kadarius Toney deleted his Twitter today?
Probably smart.
Or deactivated. I don't know if he deleted
Probably
it.
Smart.
Deactivated.
Lock in, man. Just lock in.
Well, that DM thing wasn't great.
No, but that's whatever he feels like he needs to do. We'll get to the depth chart in a second, but Sky Moore did talk a little bit earlier. I want to play a little bit of that. Sky Moore spoke earlier today about how he's feeling over halfway through camp.
What's going on, guys? You guys set goals? Say it again. You guys set goals, and do you have any for this year? I just like to handle business when it's time. Not too many personal goals. Obviously, goals to win the AFC West. Get home field advantage, win the Super Bowl game.
How would you assess your rookie year, and are you giving Rasheed any advice on how to kind of flatten that learning curve?
Yeah, just any questions that he has, be able to answer them, be available for him. He's a guy that I hang out with off the field, so it's been an easy transition.
Is there anything specific about this offense that maybe makes it a lot for a rookie to have to digest it all?
It's just very detailed. Like Coach Reed wants you to be in a specific spot at a specific alignment, so everything's, it might not be as detailed as the offense you were coming from. So that's probably what makes it the most, complicated.
Is it watching you at camp this year? It looks like you're playing very loose.
Mm-hmm.
How much more comfortable do you feel this time around
Yeah.
than you were last year?
Yeah, way more comfortable. It's just like I got that year of experience, so I feel like certain things that I already know. Like I went through a whole season. Like I shouldn't have to get coached on where to align or where to, like anything that happens before the snap, I don't need to get coached up on. You know, it's more of like, how do I beat the guy instead of what route do I run?
What are some of the things that maybe Pat likes that you kind of learned to do?
Just like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like when I arrive in certain windows, or like, you know, just always being ready to break a play in the scramble drill, you know, stuff like that, just to allow him to, you know, make plays after, you know.
Can you kind of describe maybe early on last year, Coach Nagy was telling us how much terminology there is in play, just like as a rookie, what goes through your mind after you go through the huddle up to the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, my coaches, they always tell me, like, listen to the words that speak to you. So there is a whole bunch of Pat is in the huddle saying a whole bunch of stuff, but I got to pick out what's talking to me. So you really just, as you go through it and, you know, as you get the repetition, like the words become more clear of like what speaks to you. So it gets easier as you go.
How long did that take you to understand that lingo and understand what you're listening for like these rookies too that now have to do the same as you did?
I felt like for me to understand like all positions, because it's like that for like every position, like the X, the zebra, and a Z. So for me to understand all three positions, I feel like it took me probably about like till like week 4 last year, week 5, to understand like everything completely.
Is there something you wish you had been told a year ago that would have made it easier for you as a rookie?
No, it's kind of, you can't even say that though, because it's like you got to go through it to learn it basically. So it's like you can take as many mental reps you want, and people can tell you everything on the sideline, but until you go mess that play up, you're not gonna really get it in your head for real.
Guy, I don't know how much you pay attention to what's going on elsewhere, but there's in Washington, Eric Bieniemy, some players I guess complaining to the head coach, he's coaching them hard or whatever. It's kind of a controversy over there.
Yeah.
What was it like for you as a coming out of college last year with Coach EB?
Yeah.
How did you find his coaching?
It was kind of like it was normal to me. Like coming from the MAC, I know I had a specific, my wide receiver coach, Coach Harbaugh, coached exactly like EB. So it was like it's always good to have those type of coaches, because those are the coaches that, like, when everything sinks down when it's fourth quarter, games on the line, you kind of like sink to the level of your training that he's pushing. You know what I'm saying? He's always pushing high and tight, hold on to the ball, finish. You know. So like, yeah, Coach EB, it was kind of the same for me in college.
Hey Sky.
How you doing?
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm behind here. How hard is it to catch one of those behind the back passes?
It's really not that hard, because I don't see it come out from behind. I see it a little bit, but like it's the same to me. It's still spinning, so I still got to catch it. So it ain't that much difficult.
You think you've mastered it? Like it can be used in the game now?
If he gonna throw it, I'm gonna catch it.
Scott, we've seen you make those strides in practice. What do you hope to make? What kind of strides do you hope to make in the few reps that you'll get in the next?
Just keep it rolling over. You know, I felt like I had a better training camp than last year, and I'm looking, you know, to have it bleed into this season.
All right, so that's some of what Sky Moore had to say at camp there. I mean, the beginning part, this is where if you're trying to be optimistic and how does he take the leap? None of the just is lining up in the right spot stuff. That's all done now. He's not thinking about that anymore. Now it's thinking, how can you actually go and make plays and just go and make plays? Versus last year, he's acknowledged it multiple times throughout the offseason as well. There were times he just wasn't lined up in the right spots maybe, or trying to make sure he was lined up in the right spot. We know there were multiple times in games at times where Mahomes would talk to him or point to him after the one interception that stands out as that Colts game, I think it was, where he just clearly broke off his route too early or didn't keep
We saw in the franchise where it's like, it was clear Sky was in the wrong spot on a pick.
So that's where if you're, how does he get better? And, well, if you're not thinking about that stuff anymore, and then you truly are just able to go use your skill set and ability, that right there should also equate to some more success. So we'll see, but it's hard not to get more and more optimistic about him in year 2 based off of what we've seen at camp. We'll see preseason, and obviously got to really see it in the regular season. But I think he's the slot guy for this team, and with that, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for him to put up a nice year. I'm not going to adjust my season total yet or anything like that. That's why I said I got to be cautious with it. I still think 550 to 600, but when I hear someone say, oh, he could be a 750 or 800 yard guy, I don't think it's ludicrous.
No, I wouldn't predict it.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you that you can't. Well, I mean, you just can't say that it's ludicrous because you don't know yet what you've seen out of Sky. Sky Moore has as much potential as almost any wide receiver on the roster right now. A lot of this is just whether or not he will be putting it together. I mean, that's the conversation we're having about right now. Meanwhile, there are depth charts out, so we can tell you exactly where Sky Moore is. First unofficial depth chart out.
The PR staff puts this together. So,
the first one, they do.
Yeah. I mean, basically, at the wide receiver spot, I don't think there's any surprise. So when you have Tony.
Wait, hold on. But Justin Ross isn't second.
Oh, you're surprised that he's not listed second?
Yeah,
Are you?
I am. Based on the way people are talking, I'm very surprised.
Sky Moore, MVS, Tony, obviously the three starting receivers there. And then after that, behind Sky, you've got Richie James. Behind MVS, Justin Watson. Behind Tony, Rashee Rice. Behind Richie James is Justin Ross.
Okay, so they have him sixth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds about right. Obviously,
sarcastic. If he's now where he's going to make the team, he's the sixth receiver. And that gets back in the conversation we've had over and over this offseason is like, okay, if he does make the team and he is the sixth receiver, other than special teams, how does he get on the field enough without having multiple injuries? And that's where I still struggle with it. But that wasn't surprising. I don't think the part that actually I put more stock into for an unofficial depth chart would only be just the kick returners, because we've heard Tobe mention it himself. Richie James is listed as the number one the number one punt returner.
Okay.
And Deneric Prince is listed as the number one kick returner. And that's basically what Tobe has said. That'll be something to watch in preseason also, because how are they going to handle it? Tobe has come out during preseason or camp and has said that they're not going to fair catch at all. Does that continue during the regular season, or are they only going to not fair catch it in the preseason because, hey, might as well see what the guy can do and what our coverage, our blockers can do? In regular season, when this news came out about the kickoff changes, you and I both, I think we're on the same page. You got Patrick Mahomes. I'm good with the fair catch on kickoff returns day long. Preseason, I'll be honest, let him just return it.
Fine. See what you got.
See what happens. It's a good experience for Deneric Prince. Let him do the kickoff returns. Punts, obviously, is a different story. You fair catch when you feel like you need a fair catch. But on kickoff returns, I really would have no problem if you told me 90% of the time they fair caught it and just took the yardage. You got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback versus Prince taking it out in a regular season game from the 1 yard line and he gets tackled at the 9. You know what I mean? You can't have that happening.
No, just take the fair catch and move on. Most of this actually kind of makes sense. The linebackers, I guess I was a little surprised that Drew Tranquil was behind Chanel, right? And so, like maybe some of that listing's a little bit funky, but for this camp, maybe Chris Jones has been the most interesting thing, and of course the wide receivers and where they're all going to land. But it's not a mystery where the wide receivers rank. In the Chiefs' mind, the wide receivers rank Tony, 1, MVS, 2, Sky Moore, 3, right? None of this is a secret. Like, we know where they land as far as the pecking order, even if we're questioning if anyone is going to rise on that list. We know where they rank in the pecking order of the defensive line. We know where they rank in the pecking order of the corners. Like, I don't think there's a big mystery in where the depth currently lands with this team, especially from the depth chart perspective.
Understanding what this depth chart is, it's before the first preseason game. The coaches don't set it. One thing did catch my attention on the defensive side. You mentioned we know where the defensive line is. I think so, but did you notice right now, so it still lists Chris Jones and Derek Nottie, okay, as the two interior tackles. Second string is Daniel Wise, Danny Shelton. Then you go third string, and it's Phil Hoskins, Keandre Coburn. Fourth string is listed as Turk Ward. Now, I don't know if that's because
he just got on the field.
He got off the PUP list, and he's been on the field for, a week?
Yeah.
Or so. I don't know if that's what it is. He's going to move up the chart, I would imagine, and is someone that it probably needs to for this football team going forward. But, yeah, he's right now on that little depth chart buried. He's going to get plenty of preseason time and a chance to work his way back up.
I think that they tend to, the PR staff, based in years of, breaking this thing down, they tend to be careful on the depth chart for players who have just come back from injury. Turk Wharton's barely been on the field, that's the reality. Man's had 5 practices.
I know, behind
People didn't even think
Hoskins?
He was going to be ready for the regular season at one point. A lot of that is because...
real quick, how old do you think Phil Hoskins is? Where do you think he played school? Has he been in the league before? Who do you think he is?
All right. To be clear, I know nothing about Phil Hoskins. So let me make my
I honestly, Cody, until I saw the depth chart,
right.
I had no idea that he was even on the team.
Phil Hoskins. I'm going to guess that Phil Hoskins is 26 years old, went to Clemson, and has been in the league for 2 years.
Okay, so 26 years old.
All right, I got one.
Been in the league for 3 years, went to Kentucky.
Damn it.
6'5", 315.
Pretty close. Same part of the
never heard
country.
of this guy in my life. He, by the way, signed with the Chiefs in the offseason, was on the practice squad in January, and was on Carolina's team. He was a 7th-round pick of the Panthers back in 2021. He's listed ahead of Turk Wharton.
Phil Hoskins sounds like your neighborhood American Family Insurance agent. Hey, Gold, who do you get for your car insurance? Oh, his name's Phil Hoskins? It's like, is he good? You know? Like, that's...
Well, he's not related to Missouri State Senator Denny Hoskins, I can tell you that.
Well, that would be... You would not want to be at this moment because everyone keeps burying the guy because he won't let me wager from my couch.
That's probably true.
Still
all
mad
right,
at
let's
him.
give another spot away for our Guillotine League, our Cody and Gold Guillotine League throughout the show today, qualifying you for the spot. We mentioned the depth chart at the very beginning of the conversation there, and we were joking about where the wide receivers look. Where is Justin Ross listed on the depth chart? What spot? Okay, so like a number is what we're looking for here. Text that in. We will randomly pick someone. Name, email address, and the answer. Name, email address, and the answer. 913-586-7610. Text. We are not taking calls. Text in that information, and we'll randomly pick someone to get another spot, which will put us down to 10 remaining spots in our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. We'll do the draft closer.
Pressure's on.
Draft like we did before, closer to the start of the season. More information. We'll send out invites and everything like that. But, yeah, we know a lot of people have been asking about the Guillotine League, and we're excited to do it again.
We'll do it in person again, I'm sure. But, yeah, you know the Guillotine League's fun. We'll figure out the rest of the details. Just send that in so you get a chance to be in the league. Based on the amount of people who have messaged me privately on social media.
People been trying to
There's a lot of people trying to game this system, trying to go back to the old bribery system, as a matter of fact, to get in. This is the free and fair year for the Guillotine League. Next year, I'll take all your bribes. This is the free and fair year, although I'm going to try to convince everyone to put in some money. But this is the free and fair year to get into the league. No bribes needed, so just text in that answer.
Our training camp coverage brought to you by Twin Peaks, Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views. Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending and the latest tweet from Chris Jones.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
You know, you have one of those jobs where you got to like work every weekend. Last Saturday, right? We played the wiffle ball game. My nephew who went to Centric, he was available. The other family members weren't, right? It depends. When you're looking for the flexibility, the way to move up in this, you got to look at Centric to get that career in IT. And you can do that by going to centric.com/610.
Some of that stability as well that you're talking about, more consistent pay, more career advancement, and there's such a room for growth, a huge opportunity in cybersecurity, AI. I mean, every single day there's something different we're hearing about in AI, and new companies are trying to utilize AI. I mean, that you want to talk about
and
the future.
Cybersecurity, all that stuff. Trying to keep my information private.
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly not many areas with more growth right now than when it comes to the IT industry. And Centric has the relationships that you want to count on. When you're going through a program, you want to know that they can help you also find that job in the future. Well, they work with over 1,500 companies that have already hired their own graduates right there at Centric.
Well, and what they'll do is they'll find the things that those companies are looking for and make sure you're getting trained for in those things. They're saying there about our job is to get you a job. Go to centric.com/610. Tell Russ Mondry we sent you and find out how you can get that career in IT.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Keeping your kids safe is a full-time job.
Whether it's putting on outlet covers, installing child gates, or gluing down your priceless vase. So Duracell made one part of childproofing simple. Our lithium coin batteries are the only ones coated in a non-toxic bitterant to help discourage swallowing. Your kid is safer, and you've got one less thing to worry about. Or glue down. Duracell, engineered for more. Available in 2032, 2025, and 2016 sizes.
Want to know why no one out-pizzas the Hut? Pizza Hut's buy pizza, get free pizza. For one day only. On Wednesday, August 9th, buy a large pizza at menu price and get a free large one topping. That's enough pizza to feed you and the crew. Use code FREE PIZZA online and in stores. Only at Pizza Hut this Wednesday. Code FREE PIZZA will get you a large one topping free with purchase of any large pizza at menu price. That's why no one out-pizzas the Hut. Limited time offer. Not available in some locations. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS and Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
Shop new markdowns every day during the Ultimate Clearance event at NFM. Shop high-end styles at bargain prices, closeouts, open box, floor samples, and more. Take up to 80% off suggested retail on furniture. Find rock-bottom prices on flooring. Save up to 60% off suggested retail on appliances and electronics. Clearance savings on furniture, flooring, appliances, and electronics only in the in-store clearance areas. Hurry in, new items added daily. Don't miss these unbeatable bargains happening now at NFM.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
The Power of Work Awards, brought to you by Goodwill, will take place at the beautiful Madrid Theater Friday, September 8th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. and includes a delicious breakfast. But make sure to text POWA to 53555 to purchase tickets to the event or raffle tickets for 2 chances to win a Kansas City Chiefs signed football by head coach Andy Reid or a Chiefs jersey signed by Christian Okoye.
Hey everyone, it's Christian Okoye. Look forward to seeing you there September 8th. It's going to be great.
You do not have to be present to win, so get those tickets to the event or the raffle tickets by texting POWA to 53555.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motor Studios. Last year, Pete Sweeney was accused of cheating in the hot dog derby. This year, he's been disqualified for competing, so come join us for 610 Day at the K and watch the drama unfold on Tuesday, August 29th. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, Chiefs practice, a short one today, what they call their 10-10-10 practice. They were done by about 10:30, although practice was indoors. So if you were making the trip up to St. Joe, hopefully you were able to, either last night, have a pretty good idea of the weather situation. That's why we're in studio. We did not make the trip up there today. We'll be back on Friday. No practice tomorrow for the Chiefs as they get set to take on the Saints Sunday in New Orleans. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire was back at practice. That's obviously a positive. Just a minor sickness yesterday, so good to see him back out there. Still no Jody Fortson dealing with a shoulder injury. Still no, obviously, Kadarius Toney. And still no L'Jarius Sneed dealing with knee
issue
inflammation. And none of this is confirmed or anything, but you guys can look for yourself. If you look at Jody Fortson's Twitter account, or social media's Instagram account.
Instagram, yeah.
And look at the story. You'll see it. It shows the location. Like, we all do the location thing. And it says Miami, Florida. I mean, I guess you can put in any location you want, but seems a little odd.
A little bit. Not gonna lie. Next up on What's Trending, Henry Ruggs has been sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison based on part of his plea agreement, by the way. He was in front of the judge today, though, so that sentence is official. Obviously, that's based on a number of factors, but somewhere between that time frame is what he'll be sentenced for obviously the deadly crash that happened while he was presumably under the influence.
Oh, a deadly DUI crash.
Way over the influence, but also going like 130 miles an hour, whatever it was, in the tragic accident that took place last year. Do you think that if he got it in 3 years, someone would give him a chance in the NFL? No. They shouldn't. He should never play NFL football again.
I know the league.
Sorry, man, you got to choose a different career path.
I know the league has given guys second chances. This is different. Michael Vick went to prison for dogfighting, okay?
Yeah.
And got a chance. This is, you killed someone.
Yeah.
With your vehicle because you were under the influence if you're Henry Ruggs. You can have it. Nobody's saying that when you get out and you served your time that you shouldn't have ability to go on and live your life. That's not what I'm saying. But the opportunity to play in the National Football League at that level, that to me should not be an option for you anymore. And I don't think it will be, Cody.
He's going 156 miles an hour.
My goodness.
And blew well over the limit. Really tragic incident. He'll be up for parole in 3 years, could serve up to 10 years in prison.
Next up on What's Trending, the Royals got the win last night against Boston, 9-3. So tonight, guess who's on the mound? A chance to get win number 4.
Jay Lyles.
Jordan Lyles on the bump. Again, he needs to get to 6 by the end of the year for that bottle of Dom. If he gets to 4,
this would be a huge swing.
Then what?
Huge swing.
Because what does he have? 4 more starts? Or am I off? More than that?
Probably more than that.
6, 7 more starts?
So you're talking about they play till the end of September. That's 4 weeks plus the 3 weeks left in this. He probably has... He starts more than once a week. He might have 9 more starts, dude.
Oh, dude. Well, then we get to 4. We're in great shape all of a sudden.
Yeah. We're having a whole different conversation. Jordan Lyles gets a win tonight.
Oh, this thing's very much alive again if he gets to 4. If he's still on 3, you're asking a lot. 6 wins out of 9 or something.
Like Brady Singer made 6 starts in the month of September. It's not crazy to make 4 or 5 starts in a month. Probably has 3 more. He might have 8 or 9 more starts remaining this year.
You would admit though he's got to get 4 though tonight because if
you got to keep getting those wins. He probably has 10 more starts.
Because if he's sitting on 3, then you're starting to ask for 6. You're asking for 3 wins in 6 starts or 3 wins in 8 starts versus here I would only need 2 in 8 or 9 starts.
I think there's a chance he has 9 or 10 more starts remaining in it. He gets it tonight. You're only asking for 2 wins in 10 starts. I'm probably buying a bottle of Dom for the show.
Good.
He loses tonight.
I hope you have to.
Still in the mix. I told you I want to as well. That was the whole point.
That was the agreement we
made. We're rooting for Jordan Lyles.
We made an agreement over a month ago after his first win on the year. Said get to 6. Get to 6. Felt like he could get hot. He won 1 and then had a lull for 2 outings, I think. And then he's now won a couple in a row.
We'll see how it goes. Next up on What's Trending, Baker Mayfield will be the first official starter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their preseason game. That was announced yesterday. I mean, look, we knew it was between him and Kyle Trask. I'll say it's not good to be in a quarterback competition with Kyle Trask. But for Baker Mayfield, at least try to get the win. Remember that brief moment in the sun Baker got last year? Out of absolutely nowhere when he stepped in for an injured Matt Stafford and all of a sudden leading 99-yard touchdown drives or whatever.
On Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football.
So weird.
It was pretty cool.
That's the best moment of his career.
It was pretty cool to see that. Had joined the team like a few days earlier.
Yeah, days. Like minutes, maybe, borderline. He might have flown in that day, but somehow, I don't know, man. Football's weird like that sometimes. Sometimes you don't have to think as much. You can just, execute in a moment.
Lastly on What's Trending, the dream is over for now, Cody, but we can save some money on some lottery tickets. Someone in Florida won the $1.5 billion Mega Millions last night. So it's done.
Boo!
I feel like once or twice a year we get the mega jackpots, although this was one of the biggest ever. But now I don't have to every Tuesday or Friday for the last month feel like I got to at least buy a single ticket. Now I save me some money now. So I'm glad someone won. Man. Glad someone won. Florida figures.
I would not have been here today if I won it. I just called in. You and JT can host the show. You'd never hear from me again.
We say that. I think you would have had. I think you'd have to wait a couple days. You'd have to lay low for a few days and try to act as normal as possible to get your ducks in a row. I think you would be here today.
You try to text me and you'd be like, it says Cody's phone's out of service. Do you know what the hell happened to him? I just disappear. By the way, then at least you could know. If I just disappear off the planet and you never hear from me again, just know that I won at least $100 million.
Okay.
And I'm just gone. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I would do the same. I'm just saying it would take some time, to get everything ordered, or in order, I should say.
Yep.
So I'd come in for at least a couple weeks.
Before you disappeared forever.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't just ghost you just like that. Plus, you would owe me $1 million, remember? That's the deal. We've made a long-term agreement on this one. If either of us wins over $100 million at any point while we're doing the show together, then $1 million has to be exchanged.
Fair.
I think it's a very fair deal.
Deal.
All right,
I'm not going to care about that $1 million.
I don't think so. That's what's trending. Someone says, could have hundreds of winners with millions each. Why does one person get a win? Well,
that's how lotteries work. I don't know.
So $1.5 billion. I think what was the cash option was $700 million taxes. So they're going to get clear what $300 million or so, roughly, give or take. $350 is what they'll clear. Again, the IRS really won.
Do you realize? But I know. But it's really hard to comprehend.
$300 million.
How much money $350 million is, and how much you could spend on whatever the hell you'd want, and it wouldn't ever make a single dent in your net worth.
Just
how many millions of dollars do you think your house would be worth? What's your guess? What's your guess
if all of a sudden your net worth
your main house? What do you think the house price?
Okay,
because you're going to stay in KC. I know you like KC.
Well, you'd have multiple houses.
But what's the main house? The KC house. What's the budget?
Yeah, it would be a custom built home. It'd be about a $7 to $10 million custom built home.
7 to 10?
Yeah.
Nah, I think I'm going like million max. I don't want a $7 to $10 million house.
Cody, you have $300 million. Spending $7 million on your house is not terrible.
I just don't want to. I don't want to spend $7 million in my house. That's all. I think it's crazy.
I thought you were about to say you were going to spend like $20 million on your house or something higher. I thought that's where you were going.
Lower.
I think it's $5 to $10 million on the house, and you're good. Your dream home, custom everything, and you're set. And then you still. Oh, by the way, you still have another $300 million in the bank.
Would you make a room like a sports book in your dream house? Is that how this works? In
it'd be a
$10 million
full
house?
theater, but it would be a sports. It'd be a mini replica of Circa Sports in Vegas. We would have a mini replica.
Swim up bar?
Well, I don't know about
you put one outside.
We have a pool for sure, but I don't know about a swim-up bar. Well, why not have a swim-up? Why not? Yes, sure. Why not? Yes.
I was like, why are you limiting yourself?
Sure.
It could be, if you want a mini replica, it could legitimately have a swim-up bar.
Yeah. Man, oh man.
Sorry, man. That dream died. Maybe
Until next time. Until next summer when the jackpot mysteriously ends up being $800 million.
We'll relive that dream then, man. This time it wasn't.
Chris Jones hoping to win a nice little chunk of change, or at least earn a chunk of change here pretty soon. He still, of course, is negotiating his extension with the Chiefs.
He got $110 million.
He could.
It's like winning the lottery.
Maybe $70 million in his bank account, just
tomorrow.
like that, with a signing bonus or something like that. No, it'd be like a $40 million, $30 million signing bonus, $70 million guaranteed.
Something like that.
So not $70 million right away. You get the point. But looking at his social media, everybody reads into this stuff. He sent out a tweet and said basically, KC, I love you. Okay? And right away, everybody said, well, look what happened last time he said it. July of 2020. 4 days after he did that, he signed his extension then, and so naturally people are putting two and two together and think that's...
Social media doesn't mean anything. He just says stuff on there. It's fine.
We just heard from Brett Veach a day or so ago, or saw his comments, about what their feeling is. They're optimistic they get a deal done, but the fact that he was mentioning, hey, we got till September 7th, told us, we talked to this with Pete yesterday as well, that this is a longer time frame. The deadline isn't really now. And unfortunately, when it comes to these negotiations, the first real deadline was camp, showing up to camp. Okay, that deadline did not spur the action resulting in an extension. So, okay, the next one, preseason game number 1 or 2. Those are all mini deadlines. The real deadline is probably about 10 days out. 7th? Well, it has to be done before that. I mean, that's the probably earlier though, right, Cody? You're right. I mean, it's week 1. I think August 30th.
The week before the season, the Thursday before
August 30th or so.
The Thursday before the season feels like the day where you're like, you need something going here. Because I feel like I'm about 10 days away from needing to feel like we finally have an update. What's the last update you remember on the Chris Jones deal? Was it Nate Taylor and his article
it was
in The Athletic?
It was Veach yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
You're talking about the numbers on the deal? That was Nate Taylor. But yesterday, Brett Veach.
Yeah, Veach gave us an update because he made it seem like it wasn't close. Before that, it was probably the Nate Taylor article 2 weeks before that when he had said he was looking for $30 million a year. I think that the Chiefs have a drop-dead price, and they're still hoping that Chris Jones is going to cave. But here's the problem. He has now already racked up enough fines that no amount of fines is going to get him to cave now. He's $1 million in the hole. As of Friday, I think he will be $1 million deep. We can have a party on this show if you want. I think he'll be $1 million down by Friday. And if you're talking about that amount of fines, 1.5's not going to do it. He's going to pay $1 million in fines for skipping this stuff. Missing a few more weeks of practice isn't going to push him off the cliff for this number. No, he is fighting for, I think it's like an extra $2 million a year, which to me seems so insignificant. And I know when you're a team like the Chiefs and you have every little last penny figured out for the next 5 years and how you think you want to spend it, I'm sorry. You're just going to need one less linebacker. You're going to take one more linebacker in the 7th round who's going to actually have to be on your damn roster. Or you're going to have to let a corner go. Or
are we sure, though, it's just the annual average per year and it's not a disagreement on the signing bonus or the guarantees?
Years? I don't think it's years. Do you?
Well, you can do funny money. You can make funny money with the years anyway. So, let's say if this is a 4-year deal, like that 4th year doesn't count anyway. So, the years
well, here's
thing.
the problem. It could be a years thing if it's the Orlando Brown Jr. thing, which is if the 4th year means absolutely nothing. Because the Orlando Brown deal, they made him the highest paid they were trying to make him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. But it was a lie. We all knew it was a lie. It was funny money at the back end of this deal that meant absolutely zero. If they're trying to pull that, maybe it's the years. I think it's about the average annual. I think this is the Tyreek thing. I think they're probably pretty close on the guarantees. I think they're pretty close on the years. 4 years always seem like the logical year amount. It gets him into his 30s, but not way into his 30s, which we know the Chiefs don't want to do. They want to pay 103 and he wants 115. I think it's just the total dollars. There's a difference between $2, $3, $4 million per year on the number, and the Chiefs have maybe come up a little bit, but not close to the number that he's saying he deserves.
Okay, to me, he's not missing a game because that's a whole different ballpark in terms of the type of money that you're losing out on for a guy that's going to make $20 million in cash this year and has a cap hit of $28 million. So I'm not worried about him missing an actual game. But you said, I asked you the deadline. You said September 7th. Yeah, I think it's more like the week or two before that. So again, I'll stick with August 30th. That's unfortunately when it comes to all these negotiations, there has to be the strictest, most damaging type of deadline sometimes to get stuff done. And to me, that's the one that does it. Missing camp clearly wasn't a damaging enough deadline. To your point, you just laid out the numbers. He's going to lose over $1 million by missing camp.
But if
that
you make
wasn't
$2
real
million
for him.
extra a year,
that wasn't real for him.
Well, I made $7 million, not $8.
Which is, look, it's still hard to fathom because I don't care if you're worth $50 million or worth $2 million or $500,000, whatever. Losing out on not just tens of thousands, but $1 million is unbelievable. But if you think that gets you to the contract that ends up paying you across the life of it $105 million, then you're like, well, $1 million, not a big deal anymore.
It's why we also know he's dead serious about the number he's told the Chiefs. Like, for whatever we think, he'd be like, oh, he'll bend. He's dead serious about that number. I know he's dead serious about that number because he's willing to take on, as you pointed out, doesn't matter how rich you are, he's willing to take on $1 million, $2 million. Someone's like, if he misses the first game, he might be $4 million in the hole. You start, but here's the thing. After all this, I still don't think he's missing a game. Okay? I don't think he's going to miss a game. He might miss all at camp. He might be 70% Chris Jones week 1 against Detroit. I don't think he's missing a game. Maybe I'm way off base here, but in the end, I still think he's going to play for the Chiefs because if he wants that $30 million a year, if he wants 4 for 120, then you do that by getting on the field and playing. And here's the other part that, I would just say from a fan perspective, be careful in the knowledge. which is because I see a lot of people like, hey, take the discount. Travis takes the discount. Patrick takes the discount. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Nope.
You cannot ask every player who plays for your team to be the guy who takes it for the team. They have the single best tight end in NFL history, and what might go down as the single most talented quarterback in NFL history, already doing you a cash favor. Everybody doesn't have to do that. It's never going to work that way. Some people are going to have to be paid top dollar. Joe Tooney gets paid top dollar. I don't hear any of you asking him to have taken a discount at any point. He was the highest paid left guard when he signed, and nobody was saying, hey, Joe, take less. I don't think any of you are going to be begging Creed to take less than his market value. Chris Jones, if that's a sticking point for him, he's allowed to ask for every damn cent.
Yeah, they moved on from Tyreek Hill because they wouldn't reach a certain number. To me, by doing that, you said, hey, we don't think we can afford Tyreek and X player. And I think X player is Chris Jones in this circumstance, the type of contract. So to me, you don't do that if you thought you weren't willing to pay top dollar or close to it. And I've always thought that Mahomes, Kelsey, and Jones are the three players that they're willing truly at premium positions to spend top dollar on. Now, someone points out, it's a fair point, it says, hey, you guys didn't think he'd miss a game. You don't think he's missing a game, but did anyone actually think he was going to miss camp? No, but we can all, I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, acknowledge the difference between right now, literally not even missing a preseason game yet, if you're Chris Jones, and missing week 1, season opener, Thursday Night Football, banner unveiling at Arrowhead, big-time money on a per-game check. Much different than missing a hot, sweaty practice in St. Joe, Missouri. A little bit different.
Yeah, what's a game check size for somebody making $27 million?
Well, I think it's making 20 cash, right? So what, 20 divided by 17? Is that right? Is that what it would be?
So a cool mill, 1.25
that
million.
And that might be off. It might be more than that, honestly, but yeah.
Yeah, probably. It's probably a couple $1 million or $1.5 million. After taxes, maybe it's $1 million, you know? Tough living. But I mean, that's just the reality of it. He's serious about it. He's serious about his number, which is fine. This is his last. I mean, look, he wants generational wealth like anybody wants generational wealth. He probably got that on the last deal.
He probably already has it, but hey.
But you know what? Twice. Now, instead of his great-great-grandkids, his great-great-great-grandkids can be all set. I don't care why he wants the money.
Yeah.
Gold, if somebody else was willing to pay me to host Sports Talk Radio $120 million, and this place was only offering me $100, I'd be very tempted to go get the $120 million. I'm supposed to be leaving $20 million on the table? Why?
Well, you would be an idiot.
If someone offered you $100 million. No one's ever offered a sports radio host hundreds of millions of dollars.
You would be an idiot if you passed up $20 million. Yeah. Plain and simple. I don't care who you are in any walk of life. You just walking away from $20 million is not smart. Period.
You know who I had this conversation? I guess maybe I shouldn't name him. It doesn't matter.
Oh.
I had a conversation with a former professional baseball player who played for the Kansas City Royals, who once had an offer to go for another team and remained with the Royals instead.
Okay.
He signed a 1-year deal with the Royals instead. He was offered a 3-year deal with another team, but he was coming off of an injury, and he thought, hey, I will take this little bit of money because it's the team I trust and I like, and I'm going to turn this into more money with them. Got injured, never really played again. Lost out on $6 million, right? And in retrospect, this person was like, should have taken the cash.
Should have.
Should have just went and got the cash. Should have went and got those extra millions of dollars that I could have in my bank account right now rather than the way that I did it. I'm not saying nobody's ever done it, but, you'd figure it out.
Yeah, look, Gil Mesh, we can praise Gil Mesh. Say, man, what a nice guy for giving back that money to the Royals. Sorry, dumb decision. Dumb decision.
Yeah.
Yep. How much money did he give back, essentially?
$11 million.
Dumb.
$11 million bucks.
What are you doing?
You should have squeezed him for every nickel.
Yeah.
By the way, the other funny part about that is, somehow by doing that, Royals fans, I always kind of like Gil Mesh more because,
well, sure.
There's no reason, but him giving that money back did not get them closer to winning faster. It didn't slow them down if they had paid him the $11 million. He was just done with it. Guy wanted an out. It's more about that than anything else. Look, if your piece is worth it, let's say you love living in Kansas City, and you're like, I'm going to have $100 million, and I don't want to move to another city. I don't care about that $20 million. I'm going to have $100 million. I'll be like, fine, man. Personal happiness, cool, go for it. I'm like, that's $20 million. You can move back in Kansas City in just a couple of years.
Right.
You could just come back here. Chris Jones knows, and most players probably know at this point, that if you had to take that contract somewhere else, it sucks. He has said he wants to be a Chief for life. I believe him when he says he wants to be a Chief for life, which is why I still think in the end, Chris Jones is going to be a player who signs long-term here in Kansas City. But, if it had to go the other way, yeah, You know, he's moved back to KC. He's going to be in the Ring of Honor. He's got a couple rings here. He'd figure it out.
See, when you have that kind of money, too, again, you have multiple. You have this make it very easy. You also just have multiple houses. Okay, when you have a net worth of over $20 million, you can have multiple houses.
Speaking of money, did you? So I have not watched the full episode. I think I'm going to watch it tonight because based on the stuff that's coming out, I'm super interested. Did you see all the stuff that was coming out about the Johnny Manziel documentary that came out last night?
It's called Untold Johnny Football. Untold Johnny
Football.
Football.
Coming from some like oil-rich family. That was the first thing that was interesting. Instead, he was just funneling cash. His grandpa was like paying for plane tickets, and he would just like give his grandpa some cash to pay for it. He's getting paid $30,000, $40,000 for these underground autograph signings. This was the clip that went super viral yesterday, though, which is when his agent got a call from the Cleveland Browns because they were frustrated by the lack of tape he was watching, only to discover this.
Their GM's calling me going, he doesn't watch tape. I'm like, well, he's got to watch some tape. It's like, EB, his iPad hours is 0.00.
Zero.
That was Manziel on the last part there.
What?
By the way, he
didn't watch a single second of tape?
He looked like that kind of player in the NFL. Makes a little more sense, doesn't it? I do want to watch it. It also talks about some of the struggles that he went through as well and has gone through. But from a football end, an NFL quarterback, starting quarterback, top pick.
Did not watch a single second of tape.
I mean, well, what do you expect
Honestly,
then with the way he played?
Which also means he probably won a Heisman Trophy not watching a single second of game tape. Dude, college, if you were just a superior athlete, nothing else matters. You can just do whatever the hell you want in college football. If you're just a better athlete than everyone else, you can just do whatever the hell you want. That's proof to me.
Do you think
he probably wasn't watching any tape? If he was watching any, it was barely any, and he ran away with the Heisman.
Do you think it was less on his own in college, though? Like, meaning in the NFL, they'll give you the iPad and you do your own thing. I'm not saying guys don't watch film away from the college facility, but do you think it was more, hey, a little bit more with the team? Like he was almost forced to do it a little bit more? Like on the NFL, they expect, hey, you're this guy, we're paying you X amount of $1 million. We expect that you're going to just do this. Do you think that he watched any of it in college? Or now you don't think he watched ever?
Dude, based on anything that's coming out, no way. No way. This man was just living some. You're talking about like when he got busted, remember, with that fake mustache in Vegas the night before a game. He's talking about like hiding cash under his mattress. The other thing that stood out to me, by the way, Alex Rodriguez might be one of the shadiest.
So you did watch it or you didn't watch it?
No. I'm saying all the highlights I've watched. The Alex Rodriguez might be one of the shadiest people on the planet. One of the things that comes up in this thing is so the autograph guy who's going to pay him $30,000 to sign this stuff in a secret hotel room, like, you know, secret knock on the door, the whole thing. He calls up Alex Rodriguez. He's like, hey, tell Johnny Manziel I'm cool. Tell him that I'm legit. And I was like, yeah, man, he's good. You're like, and he knows that he's talking to Johnny. You're like, every shady person in the entire United States has Alex Rodriguez's number. Do we think that that's an accident? Every shady human being with dark money, back alley dealings, all seem to know A-Rod. It just seems everyone seems to know him. He's got to be one of the shadiest athletes of all time. He just knows all these questionable people, and they all know him.
Dirty business.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm fascinated. I'm going to watch it tonight.
How many hours do you think register on the film for other, like, who do you think right now in the league as a starting quarterback, if you were to guess?
Ooh, that'd be a really good question for Patrick, by the way.
Who do you think, well, Patrick's not going to answer.
I was about to ask,
well, for him, I was saying, I would love to know, we'll never get the answer. Out of all the starting quarterbacks this upcoming season, who will watch the least amount of film or on their iPad? Kyler Murray's the obvious. I get it, the Call of Duty jokes. I'm talking. Let's move Kyler out of the conversation.
Okay, Kyler's okay. Boy, I immediately
because he's not even starting the season. Because Kyler would be the answer, but he's not even starting until like November this year. But yes, Kyler would be the obvious answer because we know he's playing Call of Duty. Who else? Kyler's the clear one.
Yeah.
I don't know, do we know enough about any of these other guys yet?
Like Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. He must have been watching film this whole time.
Russ?
Baker?
Russ
Mayfield?
Bad. Russ isn't bad because he's probably just like, I'm not doing this. Because you know the young guys like Sam Howell, dude, he might be the most. Sam Howell's grinding tape. You know he's just begging to try
his
to
only
find
opportunity right now.
Deshaun Watson, new answer. Deshaun.
Okay.
That's my
I'm going to stick with Russ. You know, I'm going to stick with Russ. Russ's play last year showed that maybe he doesn't watch enough film, so I'm going to stick with the Russ move.
Goff doesn't seem like he's a big tape guy. I don't know, man. He had a lot of success
locked in. I don't know if there's somebody else that we know enough of to clearly be able to give the answer outside of Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray's number 1.
Sean Watson's not a bad one.
Russ not a bad one either, dude. He just has so much else going on. Who was it that
and he has another kid now.
On the way, right? Yeah.
Jimmy G. I mean, God, the Raiders
he seems like Jimmy G seems like he'd be.
He's a pro.
Yeah, he just we can make the
Someone
joke.
said Tua ain't watching film. I mean, he's got nothing but time, dude. He's just sitting around. He's just hurt. I feel like that'd be real quick to toss the iPad and you're like, I'm done for the year. Whew, see you later. I'm done with that. What's on Netflix? Guys get tempted. What's that stuff? And now I'm really curious. I want to know Patrick Mahomes' iPad hour time.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Pete to ask that. I just want to know, hey, we were watching this, how many hours did it say you watched your iPad last year? Because he's got a vague idea. It's probably just it's like a corner bug. I'll bet it just sits there in the corner and it says 127.8. I bet he's got a vague idea, especially if people always think he's got an eidetic memory. Just tell me the number of hours you watched the iPad last year.
Yeah, now people are texting in backup quarterbacks. Jameis Winston's not a starting quarterback, but I get the point.
Honestly, Blaine Gabbert shouldn't even pick it up. You're good, man. You're fine.
You don't need to watch any?
Nah, he's good.
Well,
you think Jim Sorgi was really pining over it on the iPad?
We've seen
that
Chad
man
Henne
had 2 games his entire life.
Chad Henne had to play in multiple postseason games to keep the Chiefs' dreams of Super Bowl wins alive.
That's true. Maybe Gabbert ought to keep fresh.
I think he should.
Maybe Bouchel can let it down.
Coming up next, though, keep the text coming, by the way. We'll also give you another chance to qualify for our Guillotine League, our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. But up next, we will talk some Royals baseball with our guy, Josh Verner, who I think is going to be in studio with us next.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You pop on the radio. Yeah. You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hey, it's Alex Gold for my friends at Midwest Marine Boat Company and Yamaha Motor. The summer weather isn't the only thing that's hot. We know that. Well, Midwest Marine Boat Company has sizzling prices on all 2023 models with the lowest prices of the year. It's not too late to enjoy your summer on the water and let Midwest Marine Boat Company show you how Yamaha Motor revs your heart. Come see Midwest Marine Boat Company's new massive showroom at 13800 South Highway 71 in Grandview now. Midwest Marine Boat Company. We take pride in your fun.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
Score big this year with your home team, Ag Power. From powerful John Deere tractors plowing through the toughest terrains to mighty zero-turn mowers cutting through grass like a linebacker, Ag Power is your all-star defensive line when it comes to tackling projects. They have a variety of tractor packages designed for properties both big or small. Regardless of the task, you'll always be on the winning team with Ag Power. Visit agpower.com to find the location nearest you. Welcome home, Missouri.
Women's soccer is on the world stage, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/610Bob to join today. Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/610Bob to sign up. It's simple as that. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official partner of 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
The other place with 3 great Kansas City locations, Shawnee, Olathe, and downtown Overland Park. It's the perfect place to wind down after a tough day at work. Go grab yourself something to drink, go sit out on the patio, have some amazing food, and catch the game. For all your summer fun, be sure to stop by the other place.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Is your old boiler making some less than positive noises? It could be on the way out. Why wait until it gets ice cold outside to find out it's going to be ice cold inside? Up here, winter doesn't play, and neither do Navien boilers. You know Navien for their industry-leading tankless water heaters, but Navien also offers high-efficiency boilers built with quality materials, a compact design, and a strong warranty. Take advantage of a federal tax credit of up to $600. Take that chill outside with Navien boilers, the ultimate heating and comfort experience. Find your local Navien boiler installer at boilercomfort.com.
Boot Barn is committed to supporting those who uphold the Western way of life. Denim plays a major role as a robust material that holds strong in a rugged environment. Since 1947, the Wrangler Authentic Western jeans have brought long-lasting denim to all who embrace the cowboy lifestyle. Boot Barn is proud to support this bold legacy, one that's just as iconic now as it was then. Wrangler at Boot Barn.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com.
Max Motors, our team is ready to help you with all your automotive needs.
My husband and I were looking for a truck. We were told that Max Motors was the place to go. They had exactly what we were looking for and at a price that worked within our budget.
Shop 24/7 at maxmotors.com. Open late. See dealer for details.
All right, back here, Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 12 minutes or so. We got our guy Josh Vernier in studio. Royals insider, of course, tonight. Get you set as the Royals take on the Red Sox. Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles, need win number 4, I guess it would be.
It's going to happen.
And that'll get us in position.
That should be dangerously close to this bottle of Dom if he wins tonight. 4
I know.
wins?
No, we've been excited on the postgame show about it. We're following along. We're rooting for. We're always rooting for Jordan Lyles, but now that it's going to cost you, I don't know how much.
Was that $250?
Yeah.
Probably a couple, $250. Maybe I can get a discount somewhere.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Well,
discount Dom.
He's going to end up not paying for it.
I'm going to go find somebody I used to work in restaurants with and be like, what's your cost on that? You feel like you can set me up at cost?
Yeah, you might be able to pull that off, actually. But we're all rooting for Jordan Lyles.
Yeah. Got to have something. I mean, other than Jordan Lyles, I've been saying with the last week and a half or so and how the team has performed, they could lose 4 in a row, but if you told me that Cole Reagans and Brady Singer continue to pitch the way they have, that's all I care about right now on the pitching front. During the winning streak, that was great, but it was exciting to me because of the individual performances within the winning streak that allowed them to get to that.
Without question, especially Brady and Bobby. I think when they perform at that level, it allows the rest of the complementary pieces to serve in complementary roles where they you show up to the ballpark on a Brady Singer day knowing if we can scratch across a few runs, we got a chance to win. A lot like what we saw throughout last season from Brady Singer. When Bobby Witt Jr. is performing like a superstar, suddenly MJ Melendez doesn't feel the need to be the superstar. Massey doesn't need to hit the
Those guys are
big
getting way
home
better,
run.
too.
They sure are. Since the All-Star break, MJ, Massey, and Waters all have an OPS in the 800s. And that, to me, over these final 47 games, is the most intriguing aspect of this team, along with Cole Reagans, of course. To me, MJ Melendez can't change my opinion of him in these final 47. The questions I have about him right now are going to be the questions I have at the beginning of spring training. But Drew Waters and Michael Massey can. Now, Waters, of course, dealt with the injury to start the season. Massey dealt with some, do I belong in the big leagues? Who am I in the big leagues? Where do I fit in on this team? I think he dealt with that early on this season. And the both of them, right? It's their first spring training where they showed up expected to be on a big league club. And the way that Massey's finishing, again, an OPS in the 800s, I don't even need that. If he can give me a 775 OPS in that glove, playing a premium position of second base, that's a guy that could join that group of Bobby, Michael, and Vinny, of guys that have already passed this evaluation season. Drew Waters, if he can be a guy with a 775 OPS, I can win with that glove, whether it's in center field or in right field. Those two are exciting, along with Cole Reagans. Those are the guys right now that get me to tune in on a nightly basis. I enjoy what Kyle Isbell's doing. We know about his glove. But like MJ Melendez, Isbell and Melendez, I need to see a full 162. I know MJ's got a good bat. I know Isbell's got a good glove. I didn't need to see that this season. What I needed to see was them to be I needed Isbell to be a quality bat for the full season, and I need MJ Melendez to be a power bat for the full season. That can't happen, so hopefully it happens next year if they return next year.
When I hear at least two of the names, Cole Reagans and Drew Waters, shouldn't this give you some JJ hope? I mean, he's pulled off 2 deals for big league players that are instantly contributing to the masses right now. Maybe Drew Waters is just a 4th outfielder in the long run, but it's not like all they gave up was a compensatory pick. A guy who might have been 19 years old, you weren't going to see 7 years from now, right? I mean, and Cole Reagans, that might end up being the steal of the trade deadline if this thing keeps going that direction. I don't know that it can or will, but if it goes that way, I mean, for all of baseball, this might be the steal of the trade deadline, finding Cole Reagans. It gives me a little renewed hope in and I was fine with JJ. It was just that one move I didn't like. I think fans who are hard for JJ for that one thing should probably be looking at some of these other ones recently that look like they're working.
Congratulations, by the way, to Nicky Lopez for making his first appearance in a game with the Atlanta Braves last night. Nice to see him come in as a pinch hitter. So congratulations to Nicky Lopez. Hopefully tonight we get a chance to see it's not Thomas the Hitman Hearns, it's Taylor Hearn, the reliever that they got for the Braves. As it's certainly more and more, as a week has gone by, it looks like we'll take your, with all due respect, trash, for our, with all due respect, trash. But as far as JJ is concerned, go back to last year's trade deadline, the Drew Waters acquisition, what you got for Carlos Santana, what you got for Andrew Benintendi. Then you look at this offseason, you made 3 signings, really. Aroldis Chapman, Ryan Yarbrough, and Jordan Lyles.
We like to return on 2 for sure.
And Lyles is going to give you 170 some odd innings in a season that has been miserable with or without Jordan Lyles. So he's eating up the frames. He's earning what is not an extraordinary contract, nothing to get all that upset about. And Yarbrough, the guy, you got 2 infielders or 2 hitters for him at the deadline. The guy, the 26-year-old that you got from the Dodgers, went deep last night.
Someone that we haven't talked a whole lot about on this show. We finally did this week. and it's Freddie Fermin. And it's kind of fascinating because he's not 24 years old. He's 27, 28 years old.
Yep.
So, okay, he's not a young prospect or anything like that, but I think he surprised everybody. I think he surprised the Royals organization as well. Does that progress with him change how the organization can also feel when it comes to this offseason with moving on from Salvador Perez? Does it not factor into that decision, you think? Where does Freddie Fermin fit in this thing going forward?
Well, he stays. Not that he's untouchable, but he certainly makes it easier to trade Salvador Perez. But even if he doesn't emerge, I still think Salvi is trade bait this offseason. To me, Vinny, Prado, Fermin, Salvi, you got to trade one of them this offseason. Pasquantino's coming off injury. Prado's hurt right now. Fermin's 28. It just makes sense to trade Salvi this offseason. And then I think Brady Singer, there's a conversation to have about him.
I'm scared because you finally have quality, like maybe a couple of quality stars, and you're just going to get rid of one?
If you're not going for it next year, like if you're not trying to win this garbage division next year, I think you need to trade Brady Singer this offseason. MJ Melendez, I think, is an interesting trade idea because all it takes is one team to go, Royals are ruining that dude. He's a catcher. Bring him here. We'll part with the top prospect because we think that dude is a 20 home run, 25 home run.
And we're going to get
catcher.
that at catching, which means
right. So I think MJ Melendez is another idea of possibly being moved this offseason. I forgot where I was going. Where did this
Freddie Fermin? Where does he fit in? I mean, like if Salvi's gone, is he starting at catcher next year for the Kansas City Royals?
I have no issue with it.
Yeah, he's starting now. Yeah,
because to me, if it's a big spot right now, I want Salvi at the dish. Bobby, Michael, and then Freddie. You know, Vinny's banged up, or else he'd be on that list. But Freddie, to me, is as professional and as bad as you're going to find outside of Michael Garcia right now on this club. With or without the emergence of Freddie this season, though, I think Salvi is trade bait this offseason. But I talk about the evaluation season and who's past it. I talk about Bobby, Michael, Vinny, and Freddie Fermin. I want him on the team. I'm not going to say that he's untouchable, but I'm more sold on Freddie Fermin right now than I am on Isbell, Melendez, Massey, or Waters.
Those guys, which is fine, because like when you have numbers at it, I'm always okay, because it's like, well, okay, I only really need one or two of those guys to pan out. The other ones don't. They either become utility players or they're not on this roster anymore, and you're not hurt by it moving forward, because you'll have other players ideally come up. Fermin, the thing when I like that those occur is that winning organizations always have Freddie Fermins. The Cardinals, for those like 2 decades when they were a nuisance to Major League Baseball, they'd call up some guy you've never heard of.
Alan Craig.
He'd be 27 years old. You're like, who the hell is this guy? Mm-hmm. And he'd come up there and he'd hit 310 with a 370 on base percentage for like a year, and you'd never hear from him again. And he'd just be a reliable player for a contending team. You're like, what the hell happened here? Who is this person and why are they here? I feel like good organizations bring up people you don't expect.
But do you expect him to fade then?
Well, I just don't think I don't think Freddie Fermin should be your 6-year plan, you know?
Sure.
That's not realistic. Can he start this year and next year? Yeah. But that's why they keep drafting the Blake Mitchells of the world. That when Freddie Fermin eventually be beat out for the job, fine. But you still need players like that coming up.
Yeah, and next to pitching, catching's the position that you can never have enough of because it's such a brutal spot.
You can't get very many Salvies in your life and just go 162 games a year.
Right. And look, next season, it really comes down to what John Sherman and J.J. Piccolo take from this evaluation season. Again, with 47 games to go, personally, like I said, I still can have my opinion changed on Massey and Waters. And if that happens, if they, in my opinion, pass the evaluation season, man, that means you're going into 2025. You certainly need 2 starting pitchers. I'm fine with Singer as your 3, Reagans as your 4, Lyles as your 5. You need 2 starting pitchers. But, man, you look at that offense, and if Massey and Waters can finish strong to go along with Bobby and Michael, the return of Vinny Pasquantino, that's 5 deep. We'll see what happens with Salvador Perez, but that could make you 6 deep. If you're trying to win, if you're trying to see what the wild card's like or win this garbage division, it is possible. So how much roster turnover would there be? To me, it comes down to this home stretch and who else do you put in the same breath as Bobby and Michael? Who else is a part of this team in 2026 when they better be really good?
I heard you say the word, so we back Bobby Wood Jr. Superstar? I mean, he's playing like it. There's absolutely no argument for that.
Yeah, since the beginning of July, he's one of the 10 best players on the planet. Why not? Yeah, sure. Why not talk superstar? The numbers that he's putting up are reflective of a superstar, but superstars, of course, do it consistently. So put up an 800 OPS in August. Put up an 800 OPS in September. Prove that July wasn't just lightning in a bottle and everything was clicking. He's only had 3 months. Now, again, it's a second year of the big leagues. But last June and July had an OPS north of 800. July this year, of course, near 1,000 OPS. But prove that wasn't just a hot stretch. Finish the season strong, end the year with an 800 OPS, and you can really start to see monumental gains, both offensively, defensively, on the base paths. 2022 to 2023. You make that kind of a jump, and sure, yeah, it certainly would appear that 2024 is going to be your breakout. I'm here in Patrick Mahomes' voice.
That's right.
It's important to know he is significantly better on defense this year, like by every metric. Because I was hard on him. I'm like, man, because my whole theory in the beginning was, I don't know if in the long run, if Bobby Wood Jr. shouldn't just get big and hit 50 homers and play
And I was
third.
with you. I remember
Like,
when
I
he
had
played
to,
third base.
You know
what's
he
helpful?
played so much better at short. I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Michael Garcia's helped a lot. I was talking this last homestand with Bobby about it. Just watching the Michael Garcia carries himself and plays like he's 33, not 23. And that's easygoing, cool, calm, collected nature of Michael Garcia. Bobby's noticed it, and it's helped him, in my opinion, go from a 12, which was hurting him defensively, was hurting him offensively, was just moving too quick. It's helped him dial that 12 back to about a 9.5, and that's why we're seeing the star that we are right now.
All right, Vern, before we let you go, a little random question of the day. We did this a couple weeks ago with you. I think you mentioned at the time the biggest scam out there. What was your answer again?
Oh, boy, I forgot.
By the way,
recycling.
Oh, recycling. Yeah.
Recycling.
After we left, by the way, I went to one of those main event places, and they are just doing it based on credits. One of the biggest scams. I couldn't believe how much you're paying per game at a spot like that.
Oh,
it was
main event?
devastating.
Yeah, but they're worth it. I love those places.
Random question.
All right, for you, Gold, for you, Vern, for you, JT, the text line 913-586-7610. The question I have for you today is I have gotten no shortage of, 700 paid ads, it seems like, trying to ask me to submit my claim because part of the Facebook settlement could include me. Have you ever filled out one of those settlement claims? I've never done it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. What are they going to send me, like $7 from Equifax? I don't want Equifax at $7. Someone else can have my share.
You laugh, but absolutely, I seek these things out as well, man.
Seek them out?
Yeah, so sometimes they are only like I got one for milk for like $6, okay?
Milk? You don't even drink milk.
Hold up.
I've never eaten
Milk is paying Alex Gold.
There was milk.
He's sponsored by
there
milk.
was
Him
milk.
and Bo Jackson.
There was a check. I think I filled it out in like 2019. It finally came in a year or two ago. The biggest one I ever got, though, just 2 months ago. I got to find the tweet, and I sent the screenshot. I got Venmo'd about $65, and I'm trying to remember what the
$65.
It was the Yahoo. It was like the Yahoo data breach or something.
So wait, you are legitimately filling these out?
No, I got that too. I got the exact same one.
I mean, if it's something that I actually was part of, I'm not.
So you're saying I'm missing out here? You're saying I should be filling
I
these
did
out?
the Equifax
It
one. I
takes
did the
forever,
Yahoo
though.
one.
So if there's a settlement,
forget about
if the deadline, let's say, is this month, 2020, August 2023, it might be, August 2026 before you get your money. But hey, it's a nice surprise. I literally on a Venmo request sent to me on a Friday 2 months ago for $65. Like, okay, free money. Completely forgot about it. Yahoo data breach.
You guys are doing this? JT, are you doing this?
100%.
Yeah, so actually, I worked for Papa John's in high school, and apparently a settlement happened with Papa John's when I was a delivery driver. I was like, Mom, should I fill these out? And she goes, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent it in, and I think they just sent me $35. I was like, all right, Papa John's,
There you
thank
go.
you.
You have to work like 8 hours at 6.
There's even websites, Cody, that help you. Like you can find out which ones are active still.
Oh gosh,
okay, I'm not gonna.
Okay, Gold's out here looking all of them up real quick. All right, this
Shoot
one's
me
gonna
that link, man.
Yeah. Gold's getting the milk.
Vern's gonna be in the next rain delay to Royals game. He's just gonna be surfing looking for.
I feel like this
data
is,
breaches.
and JT, maybe I'm off on this, and Gold, maybe I'm wrong with you as well.
Do you use Right Guard deodorant? There's one right now. You ever used some Right Guard? Sure, you have.
I have it on right now.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I might used it.
But I think this is reflective of like lifelong radio people. Like the moment you got out of college, you went right into radio, no second job. Cody, I know,
I've had lots of other
jobs. You were
jobs.
slinging drinks, you were making money. Gold and myself, right, Gold? I mean, it was just right into radio, not making any money. So we're always, hey, you got money, I'll take it.
He was shocked the other day when I told him I'm officially out of the picking up a quarter off the street game. I'm done.
What?
I'm not
he's
picking
too
up
good
change.
for quarters.
Paper money or nothing.
What?
I'm not going to pick up.
Isn't there like a famous Warren Buffett quote about picking up?
I mean, I'm not going to pick up a penny. I'm
Up.
not going to pick up a penny off the ground. You're correct, but a quarter.
Picking up a nickel?
I'll pick up a penny if it's.
It's got to be a dime or quarter, and dime. It's got to be the right time for me to pick up a dime. It's like, I might
Did
be
you
going.
guys invite me in just to basically prove that I'm a bum?
Hey, I have a huge jar in my room that I just put coins in, and then I'll take it to the bank and boom, boom, boom.
I mean, we do that. I'm just not picking it up off the street.
Okay,
Why
got
don't
it. You
you-
got a
I'm
lot
just
of
telling
money,
you.
Tap.
I'm just telling you, Cody, man. If you ever use Right Guard, up to $3 for each covered product, up to $1.75 for 5. Man, you get Right Guard Sport, Right Guard Extreme. I've bought some of those November 2018 to June of this year. If you bought any of that, you're at $3.
Do I have to prove it, or am I just claiming this stuff?
That's
Some
where
of
it gets
them,
risky.
some of them are proof of purchase required. Others you don't actually.
Who the hell's keeping the receipt for the thing of deodorant they bought back in March?
Okay, I'm not doing that. Don't look at me.
I mean,
I'm
you're
not
submitting
keeping
your
all the
claim under
receipts.
penalty of perjury. So don't make sure you're not lying.
Dude, they're not putting my ass in jail because I lied about using Right Guard for $1.75.
I kept my right receipt from 2020. I want to keep it.
Yeah, exactly. Like who's doing that?
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't realize I was the
I'm
only
gonna go walk
person
around the
doing this.
parking lot looking for change.
Go do that. We'll let
Let
Vern
us
do
know
that.
if you find like a buck or two. You know?
I will.
Go. Josh Vern, our Royals insider. Always good to have him in studio with us. Coming up next, though, we'll get back into some Chiefs football. Someone from an unexpected place on this defense could actually be helping out the pass rush. We'll tell you who it is next.
Cody and Gold.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
He's got the catch! He's got the touchdown!
Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri this summer and see the reigning champs up close.
For the second time in 4 seasons, the trophy has a red and gold reflection.
Make the trip to St. Joe something for you and your family to remember. Whether it's touring one of the many museums, staying in a historic home turned bed and breakfast, experiencing quality dining or brewery options, hitting the River Bluff bike trails, or supporting a vibrant art scene, St. Joseph has something for everyone. Go to stjomo.com to view or download a free visitor guide and plan your trip where the Pony Express started and Jesse James ended. Again, that's stjomo.com for all the details to make your trip to Chiefs training camp in St. Joseph, Missouri, one you'll never forget. Produced in cooperation with Visit Missouri.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Hey guys, Beat Up here from Fesco in the Morning, wrapping up week number 9 of the Slim for Life program, changing my life day by day, week by week, minute by minute, and I'm loving every bit of it. When I started this program, I was weighing in at 444 pounds. Currently, I've dropped 55 pounds in just 9 weeks. This has been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. No more blood thinners, no high blood pressure medicine, cholesterol is great, blood pressure is outstanding, and the energy is through the roof. Now you can join the other 100,000 in Kansas City that said, I did it, I'm Slim for Life. So go ahead and make that call to my girl Leanne at the 119th and Metcalf location or any of the Slim for Life locations and get 6 weeks for only $66. All services included, exclusive of products. And when you schedule your free consultation, you can win tickets to see our defending champions play on August 26th. So go ahead and make that call right now at 833-SLIM today. That's 833-754-6863. Or hit them online at slim4life.com. Tell them Beat Up from 610 Sports Radio sent you.
Want to know why no one out pizzas the Hut? Pizza Hut's buy pizza, get free pizza. For one day only. On Wednesday, August 9th, buy a large pizza at menu price and get a free large one topping. That's enough pizza to feed you and the crew. Use code FREE PIZZA online and in stores. Only at Pizza Hut this Wednesday, code FREE PIZZA will get you a large one topping free with purchase of any large pizza at menu price. That's why no one out pizzas the Hut. Limited time offer, not available in some locations. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS of Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
We're hiring residential garage door installers at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
You can get a new career in as little as 4 months, and our friends over at Centric can make sure you're in one.
Look, if you're thinking about a career change, you also want to make sure you're going to the right place that has the relationships that are needed. And Centric does. With over 1,500 different companies in the Kansas City area, they can help you find that job in the future. They also make sure they have the most up-to-date curriculum because of those relationships.
Classes are starting at the end of August. Alex and I love technology, so do you. Go to centric.com/610. It's that easy. Our guy, Russ Mondry, will find that new career for you.
Made to Shine. Real stories from Shane Company customers.
They were all there. My grandparents, all the cousins. I was the first one in my family to graduate from college. They were so proud. After the ceremony, my mom gave me a necklace with my birthstone. I wear it every day. Sometimes I even think it carries a secret superpower, that when I wear it, everything will be okay.
We carry the widest selection of handcrafted jewelry made to help everybody shine bright. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
There's more to imagine when we listen on Audible. Spark your imagination with the best selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and originals around. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way. Offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended-release B vitamins.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Miss anything while you were at work? Every show is available on demand at 610sports.com and the Odyssey app. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Somebody call 911.
1 o'clock hour for us here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. We got JT the intern producing board hopping. A very fitting song. I don't know if JT knew we were going to talk about this, but a little bit of news during the break involving a former Chiefs corner. Headline: This is actually from KSTV5 out of actually their affiliate WBTV in Charlotte, North Carolina. Former Chiefs corner, NFL veteran Bashaud Breeland. I haven't mentioned that name in a while, right? Played 8 years in the league. Former Super Bowl champion with the Chiefs, facing several charges after he was found to be in possession of a stolen vehicle and firearms as well as illegal drugs earlier this week. Jail records show he's facing a list of charges, including possession of a stolen motor vehicle, altering serial numbers, altering a title, possession of marijuana, possession of a Schedule I controlled substance, possession
mushrooms, by the way.
Possession of a stolen firearm. The police report with the arrest revealed Breeland was in possession of a stolen Mercedes-Benz SUV, multiple guns, including 2 AR-15s and 2 AK-47s. Police seized the vehicle and weapons along with more than 5 pounds of marijuana, 62 grams of suspected mushrooms, and drug paraphernalia during a traffic stop on Monday afternoon.
Woo.
He was released within hours, posted a $30,000 bond. Again, he played for the Chiefs during their initial Super Bowl run, and he agreed to, in 2018, remember he had the big contract he got with the Panthers, 3 years, $24 million, but had the deal nullified because of a failed physical, and he was chasing that money forever. We talked about that here in Kansas City when he won. He never got that big money, and in his career, he made about $11 million, but if he's out there stealing vehicles and stuff...
Yikes for
Not good,
Bashaud
man.
Breeland. Yeah, he's
Not
in
good.
That's a bunch of trouble. $30,000 bond. And you're right. I mean, a lot of this goes back to the same stuff we talked about. The trouble with the amount of money you make and the short period amount of time in which you make it often leads to, questionable decision making. I always wonder that anytime I see like a guy on like a rookie contract driving like a $130,000 car, I'm like,
Well, we've been in St. Joe. There's a couple guys that are on rookie contracts driving that. Some people are better with their money than others, clearly. And just obviously, Bashaud Breeland in a bad spot right now, clearly.
Yeah, I would think so. We tried to get him on the show, remember, for a while?
Yeah, you want to try to get him on now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm working. If I'm getting a prison...
Chiefsaholic.
Yeah, it's Chiefsaholic. I got to focus on one prison interview at a time. And if I'm getting one right now, I'm focused my energy on Chiefsaholic, not on...
I think that's fair. We need to reach out to the attorney.
We tried to get Bashaud Breeland on when I was doing some rapping, and we thought maybe Bashaud Breeland, who also does some rapping, maybe we could do something together.
Yeah, there was a DM we sent once from our station account to Bashaud Breeland. He never responded, shockingly. Back at, I don't know,
we
what
still
was
have
this?
some of his raps in here?
2 years ago. I was looking actually during the break. I typed in Breeland and I couldn't find anything. Let me know if you see anything that comes up.
I'm afraid all I'm seeing is regular Bashaud Breeland clips. Much less exciting Bashaud Breeland clips.
Yeah, I really don't need those.
Something about like playoffs and it's probably not going to be worth it. Oh, hold on. Bashaud Breeland rap.
Okay.
But I would never hate you. Never, never. Remember in the draft, I felt you came to get.
Well, we're going to get some new lyrics, a new song or something like that. That's for sure.
I think I'm just playing this not knowing whether or not there's a bad word in this at all. I probably ought to be very careful there.
I think he'll have some time maybe to come up with some new lyrics.
Yeah. I don't know what the general punishment is, but I think the second you start altering serial numbers on like AK-47s, you're going to have a massive legal issue.
Well, I'm just like the stolen Mercedes Benz.
That also seems like a problem. The whole Grand Theft Auto part of the equation. I'd say, he's looking at some jail time. Now, former Chief, he won a Super Bowl here.
Absolutely. And then he wanted to get paid, remember? And they didn't.
They haven't paid any of the corners. They let them all walk.
He was the first one where you started to really realize during the Veach era, like they're just not going to give corners.
Well, that was at the time I wasn't even sure they were ever going to use a high value pick at corner. And then they eventually went for McDuffie. But I mean, it took a while before they paid anybody or used a high value pick. They just kept spinning between 4th and 7th round picks and like $4 million a year to fill out their secondary. And I mean, they got 2 Super Bowls to show for it, so it's not like anything went all that poor during that time. I just never want to go back to that 2018 defense again. That's all.
No question. This is also why when we've talked about Chris Jones and the contract and getting an extension done, you have a lot of young talent on this defense, but still the leader, the anchor of the defense, why you have a chance to go win a Super Bowl again is Chris Jones being part of the equation. And that's why the trade discussions never made a whole lot of sense around Chris Jones. Now, can you have a defense that's built up enough in 2024 that you don't feel like you have to have Chris Jones here long term? If that's where they're at, then that would explain potentially why there's a dollar figure that are maybe not willing to go to for Chris Jones. But we'll talk more about Jones and where things are at before we wrap up the show coming up in about a half hour or so. But I did want to talk about where else they could find some help to get some pressure on the quarterback this year. And it's nobody on the defensive line. It's not Charles Omenihu coming back after 6 games in a suspension. It's not Felix and Udike
Time to get
Uzama.
Spags creative, right?
This is where I think Spags can be very, very helpful as a defensive coordinator. We know they're willing to blitz and use Snead in different ways. He's dealing with a knee injury right now. Inflammation in the knee, has not been practicing for quite some time. But how about in the linebacking group? Not Nick Bolton, not Willie Gay, not Drew Tranquil, who they brought in, who I think can help them in coverage, but now a second-year player in Leo Chanel. And he's someone that only got about 58 snaps last year as a whole. At the particular spot that we're talking about is this joker position that they call it in Spags' defense.
And he had a huge Super Bowl.
Where you can line up on the edge like a defensive end and get after the quarterback. And it sounds like that's something they've been testing with Chanel during camp as well. That might be a surprise area where they are able to manufacture some more pressure. Maybe it leads to sacks. But more importantly, I think initially, can you get pressure out of that spot? Is that how you help Karlaftis out on the other side when maybe you're not getting as much there from Felix or Charles Omenihu the first 6 weeks?
I think the reason why we should be thinking this is probably how they're going to handle it in the absence of the defensive line depth is, dude, if it takes all the way to Labor Day or anywhere close to that to get Chris Jones done, our dreams of like Dunlaps of the world just walking in the door, they're going to start to fade a little bit because some of those players are going to sign with other teams who have the money right now.
They may not wait, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're starting to see them come off the board now. You know, I saw Jadeveon Clowney has a visit, and we just saw Justin Houston sign over the weekend. Like, some of these names are going to start coming off the list. As many of them as there were, the numbers will start to change a little bit, and that's something to pay attention to. But we know for a fact already that they like to manufacture that way. Because Spags gets it out of Snead. He's gotten it out of Sorensen. He's gotten it out of other linebackers and safeties. He likes to move these guys around. And Chanel, for whatever it's worth, that was his rep in college. He barely got on the field last year. Pretty common for a Steve Spagnuolo first-year rookie player, especially a guy who's not highly touted in the first or second round. You would think this would be a growth year for him based on everything we know about how the Spags defenses have gone in his time in Kansas City. And if you're like, all right, well, Chanel's going to play more. How's he going to play more? Blitzing. Because Tranquil's going to be the coverage guy. Nick Bolton is the tackle leader. And Willie Gay is when we're playing 3 linebackers, he's in and he's fast enough and he's the off ball and we try to make this work. Which means Chanel's only real good linebacker role in this group is blitz. Send him. Send him all the time. Because those other 3 guys don't do that right now.
And again,
Willie
he
Gay
doesn't
does
have
it a little
to.
bit. He can do it.
Doesn't even always have to be a design blitz. If you're going to have him essentially line up almost like a defensive end, it's just they call it again the joker. That was the term that Chanel used to describe his role and where they've been testing him a little bit. But 58 snaps, and he still got a sack in the Super Bowl, as you mentioned, and 4 or 5 pressures despite limited action. Only 20% of his snaps last year did he actually play at this spot, basically kind of like a defensive end or outside the tackle or outside the tight end that's lined up there. So that'll be something, even during preseason, if he flashes there a little bit, to give you a different feel, a different look, and how they can try to get some pressure, especially knowing where they're at on the defensive line right now. This kind of unknown period with Omenihu, unknown period with maybe it takes till week 12 for Felix to have an impact. Maybe it's a season in a rookie year for Felix where he's not ready to actually contribute.
I think what's important to know is that I think there's just as good of a chance Chanel has an impact on this pass rush as Felix does, especially in the first half of this season.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not the entire year, because, again, Chanel didn't come alive till the postseason, till the Super Bowl, where he had his best game. Those types of things. So it might just come that way. Real quick, Adam Schefter is reporting on the Zach Taylor press conference right now, who talked to reporters on the status of Joe Burrow's strained calf injury. Quote, the timeline is several weeks from when I said several weeks. I'll say this. Being that intentionally vague usually means to me he's not a week out. They've still got, here's the difference. This is the same thing we're talking about with Chris Jones.
Over a month.
I mean, is Joe Burrow really going to miss time? They got a month to get him on the field. I want to make a bigger deal about this and be like, Joe Burrow's going to miss time. But, I mean, he said several weeks, a week and a half ago, and they got 4 weeks before they even got to put him on an NFL field. More than 4 weeks. 4.5 weeks before he's got to play. It's 4 weeks for the Chiefs. 4.5 weeks for them. And so, I mean, it's hard to imagine that this one report, he just doesn't want to talk about it. Which, by the way, sorry. Sometimes coaches get so annoyed with hey, do you mind giving us an update on your Pro Bowl caliber, Super Bowl playing quarterback and whether or not he might be available for the beginning of the regular season? Like, several weeks. I said several weeks. It hasn't changed. You're like, okay. I mean, I get it. You don't want to put a date on it because it's a calf strain, but you could be like, hey, he's gotten better. We still think we're a few weeks out.
Cincinnati's first game, the 10th of September against Cleveland on the road. Then their week 2 game is Baltimore, which figures to be a much more daunting opponent and also might be a much bigger factor in your divisional race than Cleveland would be. But, yeah, I mean, they have plenty of time here, plenty of time. You've seen the comments from Jamar Chase, though, where he's been open talking about, he's like, I told Joe Burrow, I don't want him playing week 1. Now, Jamar Chase isn't making the decision for the team, but it's interesting. Jamar Chase is like, he gets it. He's like, we can miss Joe Burrow for a week or two. It's fine. We need him for the long haul, which is, of course, very smart. But funny to see a player actively saying, I told my quarterback I don't want him playing. I want him not even thinking about playing week 1.
But it's hard because Joe Burrow, we know Burrow's kind of like a red ass. He's like Mahomes, right? He's just like a super fiery, competitive guy. They're not all like that. We've talked about this with Kirk Cousins, who I think is a competitive guy, but not in the way other people are. I think he can be more aloof or those things, which sometimes people means not competitive, but it's not the same thing. But I just think that when you look at it, it's like, I feel like there's a chance Joe Burrow's going to miss some time. It is great news for the Chiefs because I think Cincinnati is their biggest threat for the number 1 seed by a lot because I don't think Jacksonville can take the kind of win leap you have to take. We both think the AFC East is a mess. So that leaves the AFC North winner. And if Cincinnati misses Joe Burrow for any amount of time, I mean, he's not going to miss enough time. They're not facing Kansas City in week, what are they, 15, 16, 14, something like that?
That's New Year's Eve, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is that Christmas Day?
I'm
getting confused between the Raiders, Christmas
No, Raiders is Christmas Day.
That's
I
what
believe
it
they're
is. New Year's Eve is Cincy and KC. But if, let's say, Burrow does miss week 1, that Cleveland game that looks like with Burrow, okay, they're going to win. All of a sudden, that's a toss-up game. And that's a loss that, quote-unquote, you didn't predict on the schedule. Who knows? We are so far out, though, to have a definitive answer on where Joe Burrow is at. But it is funny that Zach Taylor just doesn't want to give any insight whatsoever with where things are at with the strained calf
I always think that's
of Joe Burrow.
Weird. Andy will do that stuff, too. I'm not saying that Zach Taylor.
All the coaches
I think people
do,
be
man.
like, that's a loser. No, it's not that. Lots of coaches like to try to be vague. But when you're talking about quarterback, you've always got to ask more questions about whether or not that's a good idea. Or if he's going to play, honestly. That's the other part. Meanwhile, pretty big news in the sports betting landscape.
Man.
Look, and not just because we as a show talk a lot about sports betting, we both are active in sports betting, but because anytime you get the single biggest sports information entity involved in naming rights deals with sports wagering, let's be honest, it immediately brings up questions from people about the legitimacy of reports, where reports come from, what happens when they make these reports, and your branding being associated with it. Because gambling doesn't have acceptance across the board yet, and now you have the biggest newsmaker in sports associated with it. I'm not surprised there are questions. I'll be honest.
So ESPN is now going to have their own app called ESPN Bet. Okay, that's going to launch in November, reportedly.
I did see that they're going to keep their properties away from the Daily Wager. They're not going to put Schefter on that.
And we can get to those guys in a second. For starters, it's just Penn Gaming has had a deal with Barstool, the Barstool Sportsbook app. That's going to go away. They sold Barstool back to Dave Portnoy. He now owns 100% of Barstool Sports. You can read up more on the details of exactly what he had to give in terms of concessions and covenants and crap like that. But as far as what it means for the average person and how this impacts you directly, if you're betting in Kansas, eventually your Barstool Sportsbook app is going to switch to ESPN Bet. The Hollywood Casino Barstool Sportsbook, the temporary location, eventually maybe they will build the permanent one and it'll be an ESPN Bet. That could be, a ways down the road for that to take place. But what you said about the talent, Adam Schefter, Adrian Wojnarowski, and how that's going to be, and Jeff Passan, those insiders and the perception that's there about what they have, and then now that we're working for a company that has a sports book. The one part of that is, remember, ESPN is not running the sports book. Just keep that in mind, though, right? They're not running the sports book. It is a licensing deal. That's what it is. It's a licensing deal, and Penn Gaming is the book. They're still the ones setting the line, all of that. So it's not as if the ESPN is waking up in the morning and saying we're going to skew the line today. Now, can their own information From their insiders, skew lines? Absolutely. And that's where it gets tricky. The perception, you have to be super careful because Adam Schefter gets inside information all the time. And there will be the perception from many that Adam Schefter is intentionally doing something to help out Penn Gaming with their lines and stuff like that. I don't think that's going on, but I get it. We see the texts all the time. Everybody thinks everything's a conspiracy. Everybody always thinks there's conspiracies. Everything is rigged and all that. So it's hard. You cannot give anybody an open door slightly, a cracked door, to think that, oh, yeah, see, that is actually going on. And that's what's dangerous about this. And, yeah, Adam Schefter should probably not be doing gambling shows, and it sounds like he would not be doing that for ESPN's products.
Yeah, the reports is that they are going to try to keep those guys away as far away as possible from their gambling properties. But for how long, dude? And this is the problem, is that from an insider's perspective across all the platforms, there's a bunch of these guys, and it doesn't stop. Tom Pelissaro can bet on the Ravens to win the division if he knows right now for a fact Joe Burrow's out 2 months. He can bet on it.
Sure.
And it's not illegal.
Correct.
What he would be doing is perfectly legal and technically above board. It's just fishy, and we don't like it because as a consumer, we already know it's a risk and that gambling is a risk. We don't like the notion that other people get to play by a different set of rules than we do, even though that's how other large sharp betting people do it.
That part's not the issue.
It feels weird because they're an on-air personality portion of this.
The example you gave, though,
and they can change the line.
The example you gave, though, is not a problem because what you just said we would never know about.
Yes.
What's the problem is if information is put up there to the public
that
is meant to change the line, and that's what people are afraid of.
Well,
but Adam Schefter finding out right now that someone's out for week 1 and he wants to go individually bet it, you and I will never know that. And that's not illegal.
But the problem is it's not illegal for him to do it the fishy way you're saying too, which is he could go on an ESPN report and be like, look, I got to be honest. I wouldn't be shocked to find out if Joe Burrow missed 3 months. And he knows that's not true. He knows Joe Burrow's going to play week 1. And he goes on the TV and he's like, who knows? This injury could be 3 months. And all of a sudden, little odds for the Ravens.
Sure.
Ooh, they're getting worse and worse. And he knows, oh, that means Cincinnati's odds are getting better and better. He fires off his bet on Cincinnati to win the division. All of this is not technically illegal. It just feels gross. And because Shams, this is why the Shams thing was such a big deal. If you didn't follow that, during the NBA draft, Shams had reported that this guy was going to, everything was leaning that way. And when he reports that way, normally you think it's accurate. It changed the entire scope of the line, and then it ended up not to be true. So then people immediately want to be like, oh, he's got somebody else betting or these things. It's just the appearance. You and I both know most of the time nothing weird is going on.
Each state has their own regulatory board that goes through. This is why Barstool had an issue getting their sports book in certain states because, and Penn Gaming, it was a headache for them because some of the comments that would be made on the Barstool Sports site would cause problems for their regulatory process and questions. Like there was a Barstool Sportsbook. You might remember, they don't do it anymore. They used to have some sort of bet. Basically, it was called you can't miss parlay or something, I think is the verbiage. And one of the states took issue with that because they said, hey, you're basically telling people you can't lose. And you can't say that. You notice the verbiage has changed with even the free bets and all that. There's verbiage has changed because it has the perception for some people to think that they can't lose, which is obviously not accurate. Stuff like that is an issue that was an issue for Barstool. So ESPN is going to have to be careful with what you were describing there. Now, do I think that somebody from Penn Gaming is calling up Adam Schefter Sunday morning and saying, hey, we really need your help today, man. You work for us kind of now in a way as well. We need you to skew the line. No, I don't think that's going on. But the perception for some is that it is, Cody.
I just think those guys shouldn't bet. I think ESPN should write it in their contract. NFL Network should write it into their contract. And just the same as we'd said, sorry that you're an NFL player and you're not allowed to bet on the NFL. That is part of your job. Part of your job, if you are a high-level employee at NFL Network, ESPN, wherever, you are not allowed to bet on things. Part of your job. It's part of the contract you sign. You pay $20 million a year to do it. I'm not going to try to define insider.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to handle it individually as a company so I don't have to answer
because I don't know. Because
I'm ESPN. I'm just putting this in the contract for the people who I think should not be associated.
Because that's the thing is how are you, even as a company, how are you determining who that is? We all know if I tell you NFL Insider, you think of Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport. First two names, right? Probably. Yeah. So how do we determine
versus
that?
Scott Van Pelt, who's probably more than connected and probably has a bunch
we
of
know that, but if
himself.
you're like a regulatory body or something like that, how are you determining who is actually an insider?
I think
theoretically, locally here in Kansas City, is Nate Taylor? Are they insiders?
if I'm The Athletic or if I'm
just saying,
SB
like, that's
Nation,
what's tough about it.
No, I would say, but if I'm ESPN, I can draw pretty firm lines. You're the major insider for any pro sport. So if you're Woj, or if you're Passon, or if you're Schefter, you're off the list. If you are anybody who is in a broadcast booth for us, congratulations. You're also on the list. So you're out. You sit in these closed-door meetings with coaches. You're done. I'm just saying I would start working it, because what you don't want is the eventual thing that we know is going to happen. Someone's going to make something just like it happened with Shams, and it's going to look super fishy, and then everyone's going to come out of the woodworks and claim you. And I'm not even saying that's what's happening. I don't even think that's what's happening.
By the way, nothing ever happened with that in
cost.
him around the draft. Like, we've all perceived that that's what happened. Nothing has ever happened with that.
I think he just got bad information. I don't think he was trying to screw with the line in order to make money. I think he just got bad information, like happens sometimes. It just looks fishier because he's right 98% of the time. The 2% of the time he was wrong, changed the line, lost people or won people money.
This is also, I think, a lesson for just anybody, whether you're, on social media or listening to a betting show, which I hope you do this fall, by the way. We'll have that betting show back. You also still have to do your own research and also be able to sift through that. Just like, this is just a lesson for like everybody. Just because you're an NBA insider, in this case, you were laying it out with the draft.
You don't have to listen to it.
Just because he says, hey, it looks like sources are telling me team is leaning. You got to be smart. You can't just go and just throw your mortgage on it because someone tweets something. Like, that's a dumb decision as well. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not smart either. So you have, like, you may trust that individual, and that's why it gets fishy. But just because someone tweets out something that they say a source is telling them doesn't mean you should automatically think it's a guaranteed bet. It's gambling for a reason, too, at the same time. I mean, you can have an inside source telling you that so-and-so is going to miss this upcoming game because he's been dealing with an ankle injury. You tweet that as information you got, and I'm like, oh, man, well, that means I'm hammering the Detroit Lions week 1. That's my own decision to make, and I might be an idiot for doing it.
It's just we play at different stakes sometimes with those guys, but you're right. You got to be careful. They've just got to – they can't just worry about the partnership. You always have to worry about the perception, too. I am laughing, by the way. James Palmer sent out a tweet, said, Sean Payton says the field conditions in Arizona will determine who plays and who doesn't play for the Denver Broncos Friday night. You're like, hey, Sean, I'm going to make this decision real easy for you. If you're basing who plays on the field conditions in Arizona, play no one. Forfeit the preseason game, mail it in, and keep your team healthy because that field stinks.
This is a problem if every coach for a preseason game, they all know the field sucks. How have they not fixed this yet?
I don't know.
It was bad week 1 last year. It caused an injury for Trent McDuffie and Harrison Butker. It was clearly bad. We were at the Super Bowl. We all know the story around that.
Yeah.
And now you have Sean Payton say, well, we'll check on the field again. I mean, the NFL, this is where
step in.
You got to step in. They don't probably care enough, but you got to step in from a safety perspective. How has that field not been rectified in Arizona? And I guess we don't know for sure if it hasn't. He's just saying they're going to check on it. But the coaches are so aware of how crappy that field is.
The fact that he's saying, hey, who's going to play? It'll depend on the field conditions. I'll get back to you. It's Arizona, so we'll see. I'm not going to make any promises to you.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's also a good excuse to use if you don't want to play any of your starters, and then you're not making the fan base upset. Like, oh, why are these not playing?
I just can't imagine having that bad of a reputation for your field that a guy won't even play a player.
It's not even
an
old stadium. It's a beautiful
stadium.
The thing is, it's a gorgeous stadium.
It was bad at grass management. Turns out, I don't know if you knew anything, ecologically speaking, grass is somewhat difficult to grow in the desert. I don't know if anyone knew that.
They have the tray grass there. It's on a tray, and they can roll it in.
It's still the desert. It's not like that's not a great grass growing climate, and they're making it somehow even harder by like making it moldy and gross. I got more jars of that confetti at home.
Dude, I still have so much. I have so much of that confetti still. Like it's got. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Chunks
honestly.
of field in it. And give some away again next year for
we
the garage.
should. Yeah, I guess we could have some extra. Although they might have new confetti if they win the Super Bowl this year. People won't want the older confetti. They might want the one from this year's Super Bowl when the Chiefs win this year, if that happens.
Hey, I'll give you some money after the show for some confetti.
You don't have to pay me. I'll get
charge
you.
The intern.
Yeah, I'm not going to charge you. I'll get you. You want a jar of confetti? I'll get you a jar of confetti. I can charge you.
In honor of that, should we give away another spot in the Guillotine League?
Let's do that. Yeah, I guess we have 2 because I think we missed
we can give away another one after the break.
Let's do 2 this hour. Right now, though, if you are the 20th texter to 913-586-7610, 20th texter, name and email address, you'll get our next spot in the Cody and Gold Guillotine League. Up next, though, we'll get to what's trending and back into something we touched on with Vern when it comes to the Royals pitching staff and what one particular pitcher is now doing.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show are irrelevant.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
You know, you have one of those jobs where you got to like work every weekend. Last Saturday, right? We played the wiffle ball game. My nephew who went to Centric, he was available. The other family members weren't, right? It depends. When you're looking for those, the flexibility, the way to move up in this, you got to look at Centric to get that career in IT. And you can do that by going to centric.com/610.
Some of that stability as well that you're talking about, more consistent pay, more career advancement, and there's such a room for growth, a huge opportunity in cybersecurity, AI. I mean, every single day there's something different we're hearing about in AI, and new companies are trying to utilize AI. I mean, that you want to talk about
and
the future.
Cybersecurity, all that stuff. Trying to keep my information private.
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly not many areas with more growth right now than when it comes to the IT industry. And Centric has the relationships that you want to count on. When you're going through a program, you want to know that they can help you also find that job in the future. Well, they work with over 1,500 companies that have already hired their own graduates right there at Centric.
Well, and what they'll do is they'll find the things that those companies are looking for and make sure you're getting trained for in those things. They're saying there about our job is to get you a job. Go to centric.com/610. Tell Russ Mondry we sent you and find out how you can get that career in IT.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval, ranked #1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency. Over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
Americans take sports way too seriously.
That's unnecessary roughness. Dude, it's just the coin toss. Come take your matches seriously on tons of TVs at Bogey's Windy City Pub. Mouth-watering food, low happy hour prices, South Leawood. BogiesWindyCityPub.com.
Diamonds Direct is making it easier than ever to design your dream ring at your dream payment. Announcing all new aggressive financing options up to 60 months. These new creative plans allow you to pick your payment so you don't have to compromise on that engagement ring. We know that just like that ideal engagement ring, one size doesn't fit all. You want choices, alternatives, options, and as always, we want to empower you every step of the way. Diamonds Direct's multitude of finance options now allow you to spread your payments up to 5 years. Pay nothing down or pay a lot down. You decide. Get a $400 a month payment or a $200 a month payment. It's your choice. So you can get the most beautiful engagement ring and have money left over for other fun things like a tropical honeymoon or decorating the house. And by the way, it's not just for engagement rings. You can use these flexible financing options for wedding bands, designer jewelry, gifts for any occasions. At Diamonds Direct, we're always finding ways to help you make your money go farther. Your love, our passion. Get directions, showroom hours, and more at DiamondsDirect.com.
Luke Combs here, and I have an exclusive opportunity for you to win $500,000 with the Living Lucky with Luke Combs Lottery Experience. Join me in Nashville for a private concert at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. One lucky winner will win $500,000 at the end of the show. Y'all feeling lucky? Enter today.
Enter your Living Lucky with Luke Combs Scratchers tickets at MoLottery.com for a chance to win a private concert experience and a chance at $500,000. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and play responsibly.
Join us Friday, September 8th for the Power of Work Awards, brought to you by Goodwill, helping us empower people to discover their potential through the power of work. Your support helps erase barriers while providing resources, education, and training to those most in need. Make sure you text POWA to 53555 for your chance to win great prizes.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America.
Kelley Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
From local town councils to Capitol Hill, agents who are realtors are standing up for what's right. We're here protecting property rights. Here advocating for the issues that affect our neighborhoods. Here championing fair and equitable housing for all. Because we are realtors, bound by a code of ethics, driven to serve our communities. We're here for it all. Here for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com.
Max Motors, our team is ready to help you with all your automotive needs.
My husband and I were looking for a truck. We were told that Max Motors was the place to go. They had exactly what we were looking for and at a price that worked within our budget.
Shop 24/7 at maxmotors.com. Open late. See dealer for details.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending this day.
Number one on What's Trending, Chiefs practice was moved indoors today. A quick 10-10-10 practice. They were done by 10:30 this morning. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was back on the practice field after missing yesterday's practice with a sickness, so that was a good news. Still no Jody Fortson dealing with a shoulder. Obviously, Kadarius Toney recovering from the knee injury. And then you got L'Jarius Sneed, who's still dealing with knee inflammation. That's where things stand on the injury front for the Chiefs. They have no practice tomorrow, so don't try to go up to St. Joe tomorrow. Friday, hope to see you guys back up there. We will be broadcasting live on Friday. Already looked at the weather. I think we're fine Friday. It's been a weird camp when it comes to that. That's why we weren't up there today and why they were indoors with all the rain. Again, on a morning drive, morning commute.
We've missed a full practice. We were split for another one. We missed another one today. And look, we wouldn't have gotten anything. We've just been sitting outside in the rain, just the two of us.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do the show inside. Otherwise, we would.
All by our lonesome. Or, yeah, because someone's like, man, you guys are never up in St. Joe. I'm like, not from a lack of effort.
Not as much this year, yeah.
You're not wrong. We'll be up there again Friday and next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday following their first preseason game.
By the way, congrats to Tim, the latest qualifier. We've qualified Tyler and Tim today for our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. One more spot today up for grabs before we get off the air.
Be listening for the next 10 minutes or so. We'll say something in there. We'll ask you a quick question. If we do that, we'll get you a chance to get in our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. Next up on What's Trending, former Kansas City Super Bowl winning Chief Bashaud Breeland in quite a bit of legal trouble as he's been booked in Mecklenburg County Jail earlier on Tuesday. He has been accused of possession of a stolen motor vehicle, altering serial numbers on a weapon, altering a title, possession of marijuana, possession of a Schedule I controlled substance. He apparently was busted in a stolen Mercedes-Benz SUV with AR-15s, AK-47s, 5 pounds of marijuana, and a lot of other stuff. He is in quite a bit of trouble, it appears, based on the Monday afternoon arrest in South Carolina. The guy obviously won a Super Bowl here, tried to get paid here, all that stuff, in a lot of legal trouble now.
Yeah, that's not a good situation to be in whatsoever. He also had, we were talking during the break, right after the Super Bowl, the offseason of 2020, he had that incident at a gas station there in South Carolina as well. But that thing kind of went away. That was a more bizarre incident, but obviously not Not making the best of choices these days. Bashad Breeland. Sticking, I guess, with the legal issues as we are on What's Trending, Cody. Former
legal heavy
NFL wide receiver Henry Ruggs sentenced today to 3 to 10 years in prison, stemming from the deadly DUI crash that killed a woman in the Las Vegas area about a year. I guess it's been over a year now since that happened. But 3 to 10 years in prison for Henry Ruggs. Obviously, a terrible situation all the way around. Terrible decision-making all the way around with that. But are you surprised 3 to 10 years?
Seems light for killing someone.
I don't know what the Nevada legal minimum is or whatever for that.
You still have money to get good lawyers and negotiate plea deals.
I mean, he was going 100. He was going
3
what?
years, but he might still 156 miles.
156 miles an hour, driving drunk at 3 a.m. or something like that in Las Vegas, and you killed somebody.
Yeah.
Awful.
He should feel lucky he's only going to jail that long. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals win 9-3 last night. Find another really good offensive performance. Michael Massey was great in that game last night. Brady Singer picked up the win for the Royals. They'll be in action tonight, 6:10 first pitch, 5 o'clock for Vern's On Deck show. Our guy Jordan Lyles on the mound. He might have 10 starts left this season. We need 3 more wins out of him for a bottle of Dom. He has won 2 starts in a row. He makes it 3 in a row, then I am in trouble.
Get us to win number 4,
that
man.
bottle of Dom sooner rather than later.
Get us to win number 4, please, and then we are in play once again for 6 wins for Jordan Lyles. So that's one reason for us to pay attention to tonight's game against the.
And I'm gonna have to go hit up some of my old restaurant friends and see who can give me a bottle at cost.
Oh, look at you trying to get it at a discount.
Well, I don't want to pay retail.
Support local business. Buy a retail bottle.
Man, do I have to?
No,
I'm going to the smallest liquor store I can find. I'm supporting the smallest businesses.
Oh,
I'm
the
supporting
smallest
local.
of the
I'm
smallest?
small businesses, not just local, but small.
Okay, you do
You
that.
own your own liquor store. You let me know. But you can give me that bottle of Dom.
And don't give Cody a good deal.
Well, don't overcharge me. Just make me pay retail.
Whatever. Next up on What's Trending, Baker Mayfield will start the Tampa Bay Bucks' first preseason game, and then the next preseason game, they'll go with Kyle Trask. So it is a very close QB battle down in the crappy NFC South that has the Bucks trying to figure out between Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask.
Yeah, rock and a hard place is what you're describing there, my friend.
Yeah.
Lastly, on What's Trending, obviously none of us are gone from the show today, which means it's over. The $1.58 billion Mega Millions deal was won by a Florida resident last night. If you missed it, you can go check your ticket. Maybe you want something else. But you didn't win $1.58 billion. That was won in Florida.
No, you didn't. I was trying to see any other big winners. It looked like $1 million winners were in California, Pennsylvania, 2 in Texas, 1 in West Virginia. Nobody in Kansas City or Kansas or in Missouri, I should say, as far as the $1 million prizes. So now it resets. It's just not worth it, man. It's just $20 million jackpot now. And cash option $9.9 million means you're only going to take home like $4 million, $5 million. It's just not. I mean, it's just not enough. Just not enough to play.
Not even worth it.
The $20 million jackpot. Just not enough.
What am I going to do with $5 million? I'm going to keep. I would have to keep working.
You'd still work, but you'd be very comfortable and set. You'd have to work, but you would have no more worries financially still. Not enough to go buy, a $1 million house, but you would be able to buy a very nice house and then just relax.
Pick out whatever car I want from the Max Motors lot?
Yeah, just relax. And as long as you're not an idiot with your money, you're still set, though. But you would have to keep working.
Yeah, I would.
You take that? You okay with that?
I'll be okay.
Okay.
I'll survive.
That's What's Trending. You're on Cody and Gold. Our training camp coverage, even though we're not up there today, is brought to you by Twin Peaks, Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views, and, of course, our friends over at Max Motors, Max Ford down in Harrisonville, our Ford F-150. Drove that into work today. Much easier to drive that than my small. When it's rainy, downpour, wiper. I mean, you sit up higher. You feel a lot safer driving in that truck than I do in my smaller car when the weather's a little dicey. You know.
You
can change the setting too. Like not that the roads, but because it's 4-wheel drive. Obviously, you can change it to like a slippery setting. You can change it to a snow setting. You can. Anyway.
Did you do that today?
I didn't. The roads weren't slipped. They weren't. It was raining, but it was not necessary. But I definitely checked it out.
See what
I thought about it.
I was thinking about another team real quick because every time, like Bashad Breeland made me think of this because every time in Kansas City, like a free agent of a former player is like, hey, bring Justin Houston back. Bring Kareem Hunt back. Like how fans kind of really like this idea, Gold, of bringing back these players of the past. You know which team actually does that and it never works? The Patriots. I saw this morning they signed Trey Flowers, who left them a couple of years ago to give big money in Detroit, or J.C. Jackson. Like J.C. Jackson will somehow be a Charger, or he'll leave the Chargers and he'll be a Patriot in like 2 years. The Patriots have got to stop signing players who used to play for them just because they'll listen to Bill Belichick. He is as guilty of that as
They buy
any.
in.
They don't buy in. They've stunk. The Patriots haven't been good in years since Tom Brady. Bill Belichick is a sub 500 coach without Tom Brady. The man needs to stop going after guys he likes and instead go target, I don't know, younger players or different talented
they're not
players.
what they
He's not
were,
a good
but
GM anymore.
I wouldn't. So
He's a bad GM now. He should just give that job up.
I think because of how good they were, maybe this will happen when 15 years from now with the Chiefs. I'll push back on the Patriots. Don't stink. They're not they won 10 games 2 years ago and won 8 last year. They don't stink. They're just not the Patriots contending team that they were. Like, they don't stink. They're not like a 5-win team. That's how, to Bill Belichick's credit, like
they're competitive. Yeah,
they still are competitive. And I also think Mac Jones sucks. Now that's where Mac Jones.
Well, that's on Bill Belichick, that's the general manager,
and that's fair. Be critical on the GM stuff, but like as a coach, it's kind of a miracle they won 10 games.
I don't have a problem with him as a coach. I think he needs to Andy Reid this thing and give up the general manager duties.
Fair.
It's time. Here, I can give you Bill Belichick's entire strategy, and guess what? It worked when Tom Brady was your quarterback, but you're not going to win Super Bowls doing the GM strategy that is. We'll let every free agent leave for big money, and we'll bring them back 3 years later when they are 33 years old on a 1-year vet minimum deal, and I'll just build out my roster that way. It worked fine when you had Tom Brady. You won a lot of Super Bowls that way, bringing back these players after they flaked out somewhere else because you are a better coach than most coaches. So they never performed at the level they did as they did for you. But you had Tom Brady, so you could just make up all the difference and pay those guys vet men, and it worked. Stop being the GM. Belichick should just give up being a GM.
I've told
also,
you.
Why the stress? It's stupid. Just be a coach. Let someone else do it.
Based on his comments even about his team not spending as much money, and which was kind of a shot at Robert Kraft, if they actually have a terrible year and not an 8, 9, 10-win season, but they suddenly were to slip back and only win 5, 6, 7 games, I don't think it's crazy that this could be the last year for Belichick in New England. Not even saying he, quote-unquote, will be fired, but kind of a mutual parting of the ways. I don't think it's impossible. It would have to go very poorly. But it's not a sure thing. Like normally you can say 100% Belichick's back. I don't think you can tell me it's 100% that Belichick is coaching this team next year.
Yeah. 100% no. I don't know, man. Robert Kraft let him decide between him or Brady. And he's stuck with
But there's been
Belichick,
some comments that reportedly have irked Robert Kraft because Belichick has made some comments about we're not really towards the top of the league in spending right now, which is only a shot at one person. It's a shot at one person, Robert Kraft.
Yeah. Well, he's the general manager, so it's not that.
Well, he's talking about, this is what we've discussed when we mentioned Clark Hunt. It's not the salary cap money. It's whether or not you're willing to spend the money that's required on big deals to put in escrow, and that's cash that you have to put aside. Like even with this Chris Jones deal.
Yeah.
If they sign Chris Jones, and let's
you
say
set $70 million into a bank account just to sign the guy.
And not every owner is willing to do that. And that's where you get into some trouble sometimes. And that was the whole Khalil Mack Raiders thing many, many, many years ago that the report was they didn't have enough cash.
Raiders can't afford anybody.
That's why Josh McDaniel's still the head coach. They couldn't pay to fire him, essentially.
Well, they shouldn't have paid to hire him. They shouldn't have paid to hire John Gruden because...
I still can't believe John Gruden, by the way.
He's going to be paid for another 7 years.
John Gruden is consulting for the Saints right now in that offense, and he's suing the league.
Yep.
Now, Brian Flores is a defensive coordinator for the Vikings and is also suing the league. So they have multiple people suing them, and they're still in the league.
They have tried to get that case settled. They have tried to get the John Gruden one settled multiple times because similar to that of the other cases we've seen settled, like the Colin Kaepernick one, they desperately do not want open records requests to come through on that because I don't know if any of you read the gigantic ESPN story that was incredibly well documented. What Gruden is accusing the league of absolutely happened. They're guilty of it. They did the things he's accusing them of in court, and they must know that. So many people are going to look very bad if they can't figure out a settlement number for John Gruden. They will eventually, by the way. It'll just take longer.
Well, reminds
you don't
me
settle
of,
quick because they offer you too little money early.
It reminds me of, remember the whole St. Louis Stadium deal? And for multiple months, because of similar things you were saying there about the NFL didn't want things to get out, everybody was like, oh, they're going to settle. They're going to offer them whatever they want. They're going to give them a team back to St. Louis. That never happened, by the way.
Gave them a bunch of
but
money.
they did settle.
Big pile of cash.
They did settle. Eventually, it was just a number that everybody, the lawyers agreed to, basically, in that whole deal. Yeah. But that whole thing was always wild. They're like, the NFL, they're just going to give St. Louis a football team back. That was always crazy. That was always crazy.
What was it? I can't even remember what the Kroenke fine ended up being for that. Because remember, he was threatening the league too. He's like, hey, If you make me pay this fine all by myself, I'm going to start talking. You're like, oh, my God, Kroenke, you are the worst. They should not have let you in this
$790 million settlement that's what the city of St. Louis got for.
That's more than the Facebook settlement. I have now applied for it. Are you happy? You've won.
Yeah, man. I did that months ago.
my settlement claim for the Facebook
There'll be more
privacy
people
thing.
that do that one, so it'll end up being like a $3. You'll get like $3 back probably.
If I get $3 back, I'm never doing it again. If it is less,
it's all based on not only the settlement amount, but how many, hundreds of thousands or people or whatever, that millions of people that claim it. The less people that claim it, the better for you.
I'm just telling you right now, if it's less than $10, I'm never doing another one.
It's probably going to be less than $10. It's probably going to be less than 10. The people that actually win in these class action, I mean, the attorney fees are going to be outrageous, and then you'll get your $7.15. But I'll tell you, the best one I ever did was the Yahoo data breach one. Got like $60.
Not bad.
And I was a Yahoo customer. It wasn't like it's a real claim.
I
used to play Yahoo Fantasy, and I had a Yahoo account. That's the only time I had a Yahoo account.
I still play Yahoo Fantasy.
I use Sleeper. It's an app now. Sleeper and our Guillotine League app for the Guillotine League, but Sleeper. I got 3 leagues. I guess they're all in 3 different ones: ESPN, Sleeper, and Guillotine League. And I guess Charge, they're supposed to have a new app this year, I believe. We'll talk to Charge about that in a couple weeks.
But just updated in my
think
app
they have
the other day.
Which again, let's qualify someone else here for our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. Do you have a question in mind?
I want you to correctly answer the amount of money for the data breach that I have now submitted for. So you have to Google. And then
how much is the money for the Facebook settlement?
Yep.
Is that out there already?
That is out there.
Okay.
The total amount of money they will be settling for is out there. You answer with that, and I don't care. You can be the first person.
913-586-7610. Name and email address and the dollar amount of the Facebook settlement, I guess. Okay. That'll be another spot in our Cody and Gold.
There's no way someone is like desperately searching it on their phone now.
Guillotine League. Okay.
I'm going to get that $3. Hey, you know what? Let's make ourselves a promise. If it is under $30, let's put it in the show fund. Let's put this money to
I
use.
mean, fine. You mean in 2 years from now?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get that money anytime soon. Years. Again, the Yahoo one I did in like 2021, I think. I think it took 2 years for me to get the money. It doesn't move quickly. It's not like, oh, here, fill up the debt. Because they have to give people.
This is why I don't fill
They have
out.
to
It's
give
so
people.
much more.
They have to give people like 6 months to put in their claim. There's like a claim deadline, and then it goes through processing, the courts, and they get the settlement figured out, and then it has to be some third party disperses the money. It takes forever. It's not quick. A lot of people. All right, you want to take the first person?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
There you go. By the way, everyone can.
725 million is the answer. It's already you're a little too late if you haven't already, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. We have a winner.
You want to do the guy? He was first, and he actually wrote out the million instead of just abbreviating it.
And put his name and email, which is important. So yes, that person.
That's an old school email address a little bit. No, I guess not. All right, Travis, congrats. Well, Travis, we will.
So we still have 8 or 9 spots remaining.
Send out invites the next couple of days. Yeah.
Plenty of times to get in on both Thursday and Friday. We're going to square this thing away. Don't you worry. I'm trying to figure out how much they're estimating for this Facebook thing. They don't give estimates because they don't know how many people are going to.
Usually there's a range, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I know it only takes like a minute, but it's like for 4
looks like
hours.
about maybe $5 a person.
$5? Oh, wow, just what a waste of 10 seconds that was in my life.
Think about how many millions of people. And then there's, then it goes to the attorneys and.
Never going to get that money back. Never, ever, ever going to get that money back. Or that time back.
It takes 2 seconds, Cody, to fill out the claim. The deadline is August 25th to file your claim.
Someone who did not enter their information wants to know what number they were. And you were like number 11. So bad news for you, man. People are quick to the trigger. Also, if you're listening on the app, tough.
We got it.
We'll find some ways on Thursday and Friday to help those app listeners from being like, hey, it's got to be this fast to do it. And we'll say, just text us in and we'll take someone like 10 minutes from now.
Yeah, we did. Hey, look, we did number 52 yesterday. That's true. Sometimes depending on how quickly you're texting in, that sometimes takes care of the app listeners.
Make sure.
But you're off tomorrow.
Yeah, more ankle injury.
No surgery, right?
Stuff. No.
Okay, well, that's good.
Just some responsibilities that normally have landed on my wife's lap during the day that now land on mine.
You'll be back with me, though, on Friday when we will be in St. Joe for Chiefs Camp. Tomorrow, special co-host. Excited about this tomorrow. We got Aaron Ladd co-hosting with me for 4 hours tomorrow. Usually he's in for a little Club 610. 4 hours of Aaron Ladd with me tomorrow here on a 610 Sports Radio and Cody and Gold. Looking forward to that. Thanks to JT, our intern. Appreciate Vern also for coming in studio. Coming up next, though, it is The Drive. Filling in for CDOT today, we got the Dirty Werewolf.